What's up, viewers and listeners? My name is Jay. I'm a registered nutritionist based here in Bristol, working with BJJ enthusiasts across the globe, helping jiu-jitsu practitioners perform to their best ability on the mat, whilst making sure they are not doing anything stupid with their weight cuts. On today's episode, we had Gavin Thomas. Gavin is a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and runs the G7 Academy based in Wales. He has competed on multiple platforms, with the majority coming from IBJJF events. Gavin has travelled the world doing Jiu-Jitsu and has pretty much loved and breathed the sport, starting it just to simply get a free lift home, but we'll get more into that later. In this podcast, we talked about setting up his own club, wanting to quit the sport, fighting in absolutes, doing jiu-jitsu full-time, and much, much more. Thank you again for tuning in, and of course, if you're not subscribed, please click that button and turn on post notifications for further content updates. Thank you for watching and listening, and let's get into episode 21. Oos. Right, guys, episode 21. My name is Jay. I'm the host of the BJJ Nutrition Podcast. I run the BJJ Nutrition Consultancy, helping BJJ enthusiasts, hobbyists, athletes perform the best on the mats, whilst also not doing anything silly with their weight cuts. Today, I am joined by
Gavin Thomas.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's all good, man. Thanks to you. Every time I do that, everyone sort of like stumbles and goes like, am I supposed to say something? I'm like, yeah, I'm not introducing myself. You got me straight in there. Gavin, obviously, thanks for coming on and letting us obviously do this with yourself today. Obviously, we've worked with a couple of your guys, obviously, from the club as well, and obviously highly rated, and you're on the next Polaris card as well, which I thought would be more prime, obviously, to do that. But for those viewers and listeners who don't necessarily know much about you, where did this all start from, where you are now? Obviously, you're a black belt at the moment, which is obviously great and stuff. Like, what's the sort of history and background around it?
I'm a black belt under Pedro Bessa. I started 2011. Yeah, so 2011 I was under Pedro, but I started with Neil Williams Wagon from my own combat training centre, which is about 4 miles up the road. Yeah. So they're still busy up there, flat out. But obviously I'm full time in this place now.
Were they an MMA club by any chance? A bit of
they do a bit of everything. Yeah, they got they do kickboxing. I'm not sure if they still do wrestling now, but they do MMA. They've had a few fighters out there, but it's a couple of different arts, not just jiu-jitsu.
Cool. So what was the situation in terms of you? Did you try a bit of MMA? Did you try a bit of kickboxing before getting to jiu-jitsu, or was it?
Yeah. So basically, I went. I was dry lining by trade. I was down at the gym just training weights, and a boy comes up to me, which is a funny story really. I'm saying to my mate's like, oh, what are you going to do for work? Because at the time, he's like, you're in a job, you're out of a job. And I was like, I don't know. And this guy just comes up to me and he's like, you could start with me Monday. So I'm like you don't even know what I do. He's like, yeah, I do. He said, I've worked on site with you. You work with Reese, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, that's mad, you don't know. And so he gives me his number, and his name's Gavin Thomas. Like, it's the same name. So I'm like, what? This is it. So he phones me on the Monday. On the Sunday night, I was starting work with him on the Monday. And he says, you're going to have to find your own way home from Forest, which is quite difficult because his train goes every other train. Yeah. It's not like a straight train. So I'm like, why Treforest? And he's like, I do MMA in a club. And he's like, he said, unless you want to train, then I can give you a lift home. So at the time, I was like, I didn't have no misses or anything. So I was like, let's go train.
Let's give it a crack.
Yeah. I started training MMA down in 1-to-1 with him, and then basically for the lift home.
I love that. Imagine as an Uber driver nowadays. Like, if I get to beat you up, I can give you a free lift.
It's a mad story, like, especially with the same name. So the guy that actually got me into jiu-jitsu has got the same name as me. So yeah.
Should we call you Junior from now on?
Yeah, probably Junior. Yeah, so thanks for that, Gav.
So that was in that club there, and then what kind of got you into the jiu-jitsu? I'm assuming you're not doing MMA and stuff anymore.
No. It didn't last long. So I started going to the MMA club. Obviously, I used to box when I was a kid, so I went in and hit the pads a couple of times, and they were like, at the time they were just, MMA was just starting to come about, then, and he was like, oh, do you want to have a fight and stuff? And I was like, a bit like thing. I was like, yeah, go on then, and then it snowballed from there. So, I ended up having the fight. I was all right on standing up, but it didn't last long. And the boy, I think he was like maybe like a blue belt at a time, or near to a blue belt when Jiu-Jitsu was like not about, and he like takes me down, puts me in this choke, and I don't even know what I'm in. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what's going on behind? I got out of it, and he's like straight back in there, and I was like, I have to learn this. Like this has got to be like,
the corner, just stand up.
So I started with Wagon. Everyone knows him as Wagon, but Neil Williams at the time, and obviously fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu.
So did you carry the MMA on at the same time with the Jiu-Jitsu, or did you kind of go, right, I'm balls deep in Jiu-Jitsu now?
Yeah, it was for a bit, but then I started training, obviously, the Jiu-Jitsu. I was lucky. I looked on the internet, and they were just started. Neil was just starting his club then, so I got in at there right at the start. Perfect time, really. Started going up there, which is Chalky, which is in the valley. So, I ended up not going too much like MMA, bruised all the time, black eyes, like shin's gone, and then just started training more Jiu-Jitsu, and then just fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu.
Fucking awesome.
So I'm glad really that if that had never happened, I would never
be in this position.
Never been in this position. So.
That's awesome. I started off at an MMA club, Olympians MMA with Wes. So I started there, just again watched UFC for fucking years, loved watching it type of thing. Never thought I'd really be into actually doing it. Worked with one fighter who said I'll just come on down for a session. Quickly realised I wasn't being too keen on being punched and kicked in the face, but loved all the grappling stuff that we were doing. I was like, okay, cool. And then, just moved on from there to a club which they recommended to go to get more Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, wicked, no problem. And here we are ever since type thing.
Yeah, so. there was a boy, always used to say, oh, God, watch the UFC, you love it. But then I used to watch him rolling around on the floor, and I'd be like, what are they doing? Like stand up, because I come from a boxing background, like stand up, But,
so like the McGregor fans, nowadays, what are they doing on the floor? Just go and give him a left turn. What's that all about? And then you have a bloody jiu-jitsu school. I love
it. It's funny now. Just study, blah 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 blah, and just say every part about it, which is funny, to look back on now.
I think there's obviously a big movement for Charles Oliveira at the moment, holding out that jiu-jitsu type of speciality behind him. Everyone's like, Charles Oliveira for the win every time nowadays. But that's cool. So. Obviously got into Jiu-Jitsu from the MMA background, which is cool. Do you ever touch the boxing background at all still, or not really?
No, I didn't do it. I stopped, schoolboys and youths, and then I stopped when I was 17, when you start going out and
distractions.
Whatnot. Distractions. And then I literally didn't do nothing. I think I was 31 when I went into MMA, and then I had that fight. Although it was a loss, it was a lot taken from me. It was I can still walk out in front of loads of people. Do you know what I mean? The things you think you'll kind of lose. I was like, I can still do this. I didn't feel, I felt motivated from it. And
so do you want me asking then? I was going to say, you started Jiu-Jitsu then, were you quite late into your early 30s is when you started?
I was 31.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I watched the podcast with Ricky, and then when he said that he was 31, I was like,
that's fine.
Yeah,
Gives me some hope. I
was
32 2 days ago, so obviously I've got my blue belt now.
You're in front.
I'm looking at you, I'm like, he's got his limbs still, right? He's still doing all right. So
just about. Yeah.
I've got some hope for me to be able to make it to the black belt eventually type thing. All right, no, that's really interesting because again, a lot of the guys coming up at the moment, you are seeing some absolute killers. I was up, where was I? Wrexham, right? They got a very small club up there type of thing under, I can't remember what they're called. Again, obviously, sorry guys, I know obviously you follow me and stuff, but they had this purple belt, right? He's 50 kilograms, right? And I had a roll with all of them, open mat sort of style. I couldn't get my head around it. I try my best being a bigger guy not to just again, especially a fresh club I've never rolled at before, just going fucking ham on them. There's a bit of respect for it. But everywhere I was going with, it was he had just me in a leg, not a leg lockdown, but the actual lockdown position. Even when I was based out and stuff like this, he just have a wedge in the right place at the right time. And I was like, what the fuck is it? And he just seemed calm. It was just he was having a sleep at the time. I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then someone said to me he's been training more years jiu-jitsu than he hasn't been. And I'm like, fuck, like, how old is this kid? And he said he started at 8, he's now 20. And I'm like, so he's been doing it 12 years. And that's just how comfortable he is with it. And so, again, you're hearing a lot of these killers come through, obviously, who are just young, starting at that age type of thing. And now we're starting to see it because it's getting a bit more popularity. But good to hear you're keeping up the other end of the starting at late 30s.
I started late, and like time flies anyway, doesn't it? And then when I look back now, and it's like, you know, he's like mid-40s now, like early 40s, and it's like, it's just how quick the time has gone.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that, but Jiu-Jitsu wasn't around for us. And like everyone's like, oh, I wish I started this when I was younger, but it wasn't around. I was quite lucky to start Jiu-Jitsu when it first came about, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite cool now.
Yeah, it is. It seems to be the in thing. I think there's a lot of things. I think obviously when we look at how it's been promoted from, I think for me, constantly listening to good old Joe Rogan's podcast and him talk about it regularly, and then you seeing the UFC, and you start to get little like snippets or droplets of like, oh, I wonder what this is like. And I think once you get past that first hurdle of just stepping into a club, right, having that first session, 100%. And don't get me wrong, it's not for everyone. Like you've got to have the mindset of saying, look, I'm happy to be shit at something to then get better at it.
You have to fail.
You have to fail to begin with. There's no chance in hell, unless, I don't know, you're some collegiate wrestler of some sort. That's a different conversation for another day. But you have to fail to then come in to kind of say, right, either you are, cool, I want to learn how to get out of this type of thing, or it's just not going to be your bag type stuff, and that's it. And I think once you get over that hurdle, you then realise, again, I wish I did this sooner, just because of just like, how wicked the community is, how cool it is to learn about something, and certainly for me, it built my confidence up. Again, obviously, I'm a BFG, is what I call myself, big friendly giant, in the sense that any situations that kick off and lights out when I was younger and stuff, I like that. I'm the tall, big guy, I get it, but I'm not getting involved with this in the slightest bit. Yeah. But it certainly gave me the confidence to say, actually, hold on, if something did kick off, I'm happy to look after myself now, rather than like try and just want to diffuse it, which is cool. But so started at 30s, obviously early 30s.
31, then. 31.
How long did we get? How quickly did we get through the belts then? When did we get? How long did it take to get the black?
I was a white belt. I actually know. I was a white belt for 17 months.
Nice.
Blue belt for 2.5 years. Purple belt for 2.5 years.
Nice.
A brown belt for 4 years, and I'm coming up on the 26th, 2 years black belt now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's quite. I would say it's quite an average sort of time frame.
Yeah, I think COVID hit as well. We had because I was hoping to get it before I was 40. That was my goal.
That was your goal.
All my goals I set, I didn't make. But like it's been a pretty awesome like lifestyle out there since so. Like I wanted it by the time I was 40. I think it was 41.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take out the COVID
obviously,
years,
everything was shut. The gyms were closed and stuff.
But no one was training.
No one was training. Well,
yeah.
yeah. Some of us were training. But yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but lem years.
Yeah. That's good, man. Like I said, we've heard obviously people get it in 6. We've heard people get it in longer type thing. A good question that always comes up, and I'm always intrigued about this, is sort of belts being given out for time served, right, versus based on where they think you are as an individual, right? And I think, don't get me wrong, there's some clubs that obviously have the timestamp cards, all this type of stuff. And there's arguments for if they've got mass members, it's easier to keep an eye on things type of thing. But likewise, I've seen also clubs like within that environment also still promote for it type of stuff. So I think it's always this thing that comes to mind is that you look at Cole Abate, right? He technically went through 3 belts in less than a year, right? Purple, brown, black. Right, in less than a year type thing. And don't get me wrong, we're all aware of like how good his quality is type thing. But then people would say that, did he have his time served at the purple belt? Did he have his time served at the brown belt? Did he have his time served before getting the black belt type thing? So is that a negative? But what's your thoughts on that in comparison?
I think time served is a good thing, because I think not to rush something, but at the same time, like if you are wiping people out, like, why not go to the next level kind of thing? Not too quick. I think that's too quick. I think, but you know, like it's different. Like in year, we love, especially in this gym where you know, like in year, someone be a killer. Yeah. But out there, they're not. You know, they go to another gym, they're not. So like that, there's all kinds of levels to it. Yeah. You know, and I just, I think there should be a minimum set. Yeah. Like I think. Like I know a lot of like Pedro black belts, you know, like there was a lot of years at brown, you know, where brown is the shortest belt. Apart no, to the IBJJF scheme is like a year minimum, I think. And but as you know, you do a lot more like that. But I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because like it prepares you much better for it. You know, it's not much of a from. There's no much change yet to the...
That's interesting, sort of rounds it. And I get your point in the sense of like, depending on the bubble that you're in, it's going to vary very much as to your ability. And don't get me wrong, I've had the privilege obviously of rolling up multiple different clubs where I felt comfortable as a blue belt there and think, well, do you know what, I feel like I've gone to other clubs before and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like what the fuck's going on here type thing. Like, and like to the point where like you're there asking them like, please be a blue belt or higher type thing. Don't you dare say you're a white belt to me because I'm going to feel like, oh, I'm a fucking fraud basically. But it's tricky to obviously find out that right sort of balance in the sense that I don't think it needs to be systematic, like 2 years until you get, or I don't know, 15 months, 16 months to get your blue belt, then 2 years after blue, then 3 years for purple, 4 years for brown, and then you get your black type thing.
If you're white, like I said, if you're wiping people out in the gym and on a competition scene, get them up to the next level. But if you're wiping people, like I know, I know a few guys who are like wiping people out in gyms, but then you put them on a competition mat, then they just crumble. So it's like.
So how would that, again, with that kind of thought process, and because there's no right or wrong answer with this, if you had a guy who just didn't like competing then, do you think he then shortens the chance of the promotion slightly? I know it shouldn't be like that, but do you think competition is kind of a good case to help with the promotion, or?
I think a competition is good to improve like your jiu-jitsu, like 100%. But I get the fact that a lot of people don't like competing. Like I never used to like competing in the beginning. Like,
really?
It was tough in the beginning. It was like mentally, but then it just gets so. You still get like the jiggers and stuff like that, and the thoughts. But like it's like the difference now is when you walk on, it's like bang, it's gone. You know. So, but I get the fact that a lot of people don't like to compete and the pressure and stuff. Yeah. So.
I'm sure you know. I know.
I think the time served thing should come into that. I think they should do the time in but like if they're out there doing it, smashing it up.
It's interesting you say that. Like, there's some people I know who are absolutely, again, killers within their club, killers within their ability, and when they go to other clubs, they're absolutely fantastic. You put them on the competition floor, but they just go to fucking pieces. And it's just like, it's hard for that person in that position, do you know what I mean? Sort of say that, look, I know they're well worthy of their belt and obviously potentially the promotion. Yeah. And then unfortunately then I wouldn't want them to have that issue of like, because they haven't competed, because they haven't got the gold or whatever it may be, so that then to hold them back all of a sudden type thing. Yeah. Like even to the point where you put them in an inter-club, let's say for example, something again, just go to pieces because there's just people watching, there's a bit more pressure all of a sudden and it's just really, it's like another art to kind of learn. But if you don't mind me asking then, so with the being nervous to begin with when you were competing previously, was there a moment where you figured out how to overcome that a bit more type thing, or was it just repetitiveness of just constantly going out there and drumming the same sort of thing and getting over it, or? Yeah,
it was, I don't know, like when we, like obviously before I had G7 and we was up with CTC up, it was like Ronda BJJ and we'd go to Hereford, like I said, it was Hereford every 3 months. Yeah. And that was just the thing, we're going to Hereford every 3 months.
You've got the masses up there, haven't they, in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah, but it was like, it was back in the day, it was a big tournament, but it was like every 3 months, everyone would go there, and it'd just be a thing, you're doing it. Like the at the time, it was like a good buzz, everyone would compete. So it was like thankfully, but like I'd always suck at it, I always do terrible, you know what I mean? Like, you'd have tough boys, like I'd be going into my division, I was a lightweight, I'm like starting at 31, 32, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm in my brackets like Jack Shaw, all the boys, they've been training jiu-jitsu for years, you know what I mean? They are like different level athletes kind of thing at that time, and it was like, you're destined to go one way out there, but at the same time, it was like the experience. But looking back on it now, it was like the best experience you could get, really, because although it's like you're coming out there all the time. Yep. You don't even know that failures are building you up, kind of thing,
So did you find the nerves got worse at different environments? So obviously you said you go to the Hereford one all the time.
I got to it, we just there because that's all we had, really. You have like the British Open, which was seemed like at the time big. Like, it is still big, but it seemed like the big one, And then I got to blue belt, And then I finally got comfy at white belt, and I went to Hereford, and like everyone knows like a bronze medal in Hereford is like awesome because you have to come back and fight from it. So it's like one of the best medals I got is a bronze medal from my white belt. But and again, it was Jack Shaw knocked me off. Yeah, he won there. I think Rory had silver. He's like fighting Cage Warriors now. But like that day I was buzzing. I was like, yeah, I had like 5 fights, like 5 wins. I lost to Jack, and then like I thought, I'm getting the grips then, and they give me my blue belt. And I'm like, no, we're doing so. But then I went straight into blue belt, and like losing white belt, blue belt. I won straight away. I won like a gold, silver, and a bronze, like medals straight away. And I was like, and then I went on a big losing streak, like big, like all through blue belt.
Really?
Yeah, but like every time when I was like, it got to a point then when I just stopped. I just stopped competing. I was like, I can't do this now. And then went to Brazil for a couple of months.
Really?
Yeah, for like 3 months, stayed in Brazil. It was like a dream come true kind of thing, and I went out there and just like lived the lifestyle. I was like a 4-stripe blue belt at the time. I hadn't competed, and I was like, I'm ready for this now. Like I went back. Like at first I was struggling in Brazil, but then like within like at the end of 3 months, I'm like starting to like keep up with like all the blue belts in Brazil, purple belts. I'm thinking I'm gonna go home now and. Yeah, I'm ready for this. I
am
I
Brazil.
get home and they give me my purple belt. And I was like, no. But I said to myself, and like, with my demons, I was like, no, you will fight purple belt, because there was a lot of lost time in blue belt where I didn't compete, and I wish I had, and I was like, I'm not going through that again. Like, I'm not looking back. And that's one thing I do try and say to people, if they thinking about competing and they don't do it, I'm like, just try it, because just do it. But, and then the same again, purple, I lost a shitload of matches, purple, and like, purple belts, like that's when the belt gets different. That's when it's like, what's going on by here? Like, kind of, it's a very interesting belt. And it took me like 12 months, but I was just doing like IBJJF, and it took me like 12 months, and then I remember going to the European Masters armbar, and this guy, and then it was like, bang, the penny dropped. It was like, boom, there's a switch. Yeah. And then I started getting my momentum, and then boom, and then like it doesn't bother me now. A loss or win doesn't bother me now. I just look at it like experience.
Let me go and do my game.
Yeah, I'll go again. It's part of the like now I know it's part of the process, and I just wish I could go back to blue belt and get back into it, because like I said, I lost a lot. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the time in Brazil, I obviously, again, for viewers and listeners, you type Gavin Thomas in on the internet, you get a lot of Gavin Thomases coming up.
And none about me. Like,
none about me. I've done one match on Flow, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an interesting podcast.
Match. I'm interested to know which it is.
I'll show you later if you want. So it was a gi one, if that makes it. I can't remember if it was a Euros one. But,
probably lost that.
But what was the decision to go over to Brazil then?
It was funny because I was always keeping on, like always saying, I want to go to Brazil.
I want some acai and Jesus in my life.
Like, I was like, that's where it's from, like, because I was like right into it, like proper loved it, you know what I mean, like total life change for me. And I remember one Christmas, I woke up, my mother's quite good at like presents and stuff, Just give me this map, like a lamp, an Atlas lamp.
Yeah.
And I opened it up, and I was like, cheers, man, for the lamp, like. But
so, there's Brazil.
Yeah, I looked at it, but I could see it was on like South America, and I was like I know what she's like. I thought there's someone else coming back, and she gives me this little, it's like a little card, like a gift voucher, and wrapped up, and I was like, opened it up, Trailfinder's card with like enough for the Brazil flight.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I'm like, like what? Like so. So I go down to the travel agents anyway, to the Trailfinders or whatever, and I said, oh look, I got this card, and I'm talking to the guy, and he said, how long do you want to go for? So I was like, I didn't even know how long. I was like, I don't know. And he said, well, you got up to 3 months on your visa. So I was like, 3 months then. so I like booked in for 3 months, and then I just worked out the way how I was going to stay for 3 months then, I wouldn't go in, I wanted to leave it. It was when the World Cup was out there, I think it finished in September. I think I went out in beginning of September. I thought I'll go after the World Cup, so I don't get mixed up with like I'm over there for the football and stuff. You know,
it's funny you say that, right? Because I remember listening to somewhere else and it was talking about travel hacks, right? And this is quite like a bit twisted in the way it is that the guy would end up booking holidays to places which were going through like wars at the time because the flights were fucking dirt cheap all of a sudden. So like the same thing with like once the World Cup had finished, all of a sudden I imagine everything just fucking plummeted price wise, so you could stay out there a lot more easier type of thing. But
I didn't want to get mixed up in like, I don't know, like just in case I was a football hooligan or something like that, you know. I was all just waiting until after the World Cup, and I went out September till December, and I actually missed the grading because I messaged Wagner and said I won't be at the grading.
Was he like, where are you?
Yeah. I mean, I can go home a bit and try and kill every bluebell. And something happened with my visa out there. I was like, I can't. It was like you either fly home. The travel company give me options. Like, you can either fly home 3 days early, or you can go into the embassy out there, like extend your thing, and we let you stay an extra week. And I was thinking, I got to get an extra hotel or connection view. I was thought, it's just easier to go home 3 days early. But when I went home 3 days early, obviously I go to the grading then because I'm home. And I was like, So like it was brilliant to have it. But at the same time, I was like, like it starts again. Like I've always had a tough road with there. But I think it's worked out better for me.
Nice.
You know?
Did you gym hop much while in Brazil? Were you in one school in Brazil?
I trained with Ricardo Vieira checkmat for 2 weeks because when I got to Connection Rio I bumped into Sam Crook, you know Sam?
Yeah.
He's back home now, but he's like lived his dream. It's funny to watch him over the last few years. So I didn't know him then. I sat down and he's like, where are you going to train? And I was like, I don't know, you know. And there was a book there with all these gyms and contact numbers and addresses. And he's like, well, I'm training in checkmat. He said, you can come there with me. So I was like, yeah, go on then, you know, but you know, so like,
go with someone,
let's go. Yeah. So we go down like, I think we train like sometimes three times a day, definitely twice a day, sometimes three, and it was horrific. Like it was horrific. Like everyone in there is like a world champion.
Really?
It's so like demoralizing. Like to the point I was like, am I ever going to beat anyone in this gym? And like I swept one of the boys at once, and it was I tell you it was. Jonathan Gomez, his brother. Right. I can't remember his first name now. Or was it Jonathan? It might have been Jonathan. And like I swept him. He was a blue belt at the time, like he's awesome black belt now, but he was a blue belt, and I swept him, and I felt like, yes, I've actually won. I've scored something. But it was like, it was a wake up call, and it was quite intimidating as well, and it was tough, and it was hard, and at some points I was like, this isn't supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be like enjoying myself on all days. And then Wagon, obviously Pedro is like good mates with Teles.
Yep.
And Teles was actually like messaging Wagons like, where's Gavin? Like he's in Brazil. Why is he not training with us? So I said to Wagon, I said, look, I've paid for 2 weeks in checkmat now. Like I'm like, if I've paid for 2 weeks, I'll stick the 2 weeks out, you know. And I thought I trained there, went to Teles. I said to Wagner, I said, message Teles, tell him I'm coming. Like I went there, and he was just totally different. Like checkmat, you know, they are savages, you know. They're all looking for the world titles. They don't, you know. There's no like, be nice. He's coming to the gym. It's like, bang, wipe him out, kind of thing. And it's a good lesson to have. But then I go to Teles, where he's looking after all the kids and the projects and stuff, and it felt like such a good vibe in there. Like no one spoke English. Everyone was like Portuguese, and I didn't speak a word of it. But like I didn't feel awkward once. You know, like we'd go in, and he was showing me like parties in Brazil. There's always in the favelas. There's like someone's brother, someone's sister, cousins, nieces. There's parties like every day of the week, and it was brilliant. It was great. And I booked in with Gordo's because everyone goes to Gordo's for a month. I paid for a month there, like training, so I knew that was just at the top of the street, and it was solid. Like, but in Gordo's, you got a lot of black belts, at that time. You only see black belts in Brazil, kind of thing. But there was, but they were like doctors, lawyers, you know, like good.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they spoke English.
Yeah.
So like you go in, it's like these, but they show you so many things. Like, you know, they were old guys. Some of them. The youngest one in there was 42. The youngest guy in there was 42.
Time for you to get back over there and say, hey guys, look what I've done.
Yeah. I'd love to go back. Or I'm hoping to go back next year for the Brasileiros, because it'll be next year. It'll be 10 years that I haven't been out there for, and like obviously black belt.
Oh, what a great story that would be.
But I added them all on Facebook, so I still have them guys on my Facebook. I still speak to them.
Yeah.
So you know, it's literally going to be like going back home kind of thing.
That's going to be mint,
it's class.
That's going to be mint. You should document that if you can, man. Like that like, I'm going back to the place where you should. Do you know what? I'd even say, like, I appreciate you do your own stuff. I'd actually go back to the gyms that you went to.
Yeah.
And like do a bit of chat mat, do a bit of obviously.
Yeah, like chat mat. They're nice guys. They're not horrible guys, but they're in there for one thing.
But just say, hey, I was here 10 years ago. Look at me now. Just you might get smashed. I don't know.
Yeah, what's funny is the kids then, the blue belts, they were blue belts like me at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously in my 30s. These are kids. These are like 16-year-old kids. But now, the young, how old would they be? Maybe 14, 15. But now they're like high-level black belts now. And I see them now in the tournaments. And like, hey, what? And they speak English and everything now. Obviously, where they've been sponsored, and some live in California. You know, some have gone right up now. But like, them kids were taking me around the favelas, giving me food, and I couldn't speak a word of English, Portuguese, and they just like smiling at me, laughing. I was like, brilliant, like, you know. And I trained in Delivers. We went to. We did go to.
Out of interest, like obviously coming over from the UK as a blue belt to Brazil, did you feel a little bit about imposter syndrome? Like, Jesus Christ, I'm not worthy of this blue belt. Out of interest, like, especially, I appreciate you said there's different levels in terms of like what gyms were like and stuff. But.
Yeah, but like at the time I was like a 4-stripe white belt, so I was like a 4-stripe blue belt, so I was glad that I went out at that stage.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I've been a blue belt for a couple of years, and. There's nothing I hadn't kind of seen. You know, there might be something new, but like, and most of the classes were in Portuguese, so I was a bit like, oh, here we go, you know, because that's what Sam said. He said, oh, most of the classes will be in Portuguese, and I was like, oh, you know, but when you seem to concentrate more because you don't know what they're saying. It's like bum bum bum, and you're following it, and it was like, I was like, you know what, I know all this. You know what I mean? Like I've definitely done this before, and so it wasn't as bad as what you think. Like. What was cool in Terres, like I went down there on my own. A lot of the guys in Connection Rio would stick with each other, go training with each other, go food with each other.
Yeah.
But I'm more, like I'm a traveller, you know, like I'm used to being on my own. I like being on my own, so I think I've seen it in a different light then as well, and just like a chameleon, just blending with people in there, you know.
Social chameleon, love it. Similar to me, mate. There's a good question actually. So a hot topic that comes up, and obviously you see some clubs who don't like people training at other schools, even for like open mats. Not saying like you've got your. I always say the same thing. I'm a bit of a gym gypsy. I'll go travelling around. I know where my home is. I'll always go back to my main club at RGA, obviously in Bristol, type of thing.
Yeah.
But there's some people who just despise the fact their students go elsewhere, right? Where do you stand like? Because you've kind of walked the walk in the sense you went over the way to fucking Brazil.
Yeah.
It's something different.
Yeah, no, I push my guys. It's like wherever they go, I'm like, is there jiu-jitsu? You know, like if they going on holidays, or I'm like, oh, you're going to jiu-jitsu? Like, call in, and they're looking at me like, I'm not going there, you know. But I'm like, just go. Like Pedro and Wagon have always said to me, go train wherever you want, go train everywhere. So, and like I do now, it's a norm now. Like my missus knows, like if we're going on holidays, I'm like,
who did we bump into? We were at the David Broom Centre. It's a horse show centre over in Chepstow.
Yeah.
You got Chepstow, is it
Gareth Jenkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a mad nutter that guy is.
Yeah, that's Gareth, yeah.
I had no idea. I literally just found Chepstow BJJ, dropped him a message, popped in there, and it was an open mat in like a gymnastics club, and he said, oh, the reason we come here is we've got, it's like £5 for the hour type thing, and there's a brewery next door which we all go to on a Friday night. And literally within instances just going to roll with him and stuff, it was just like, again, you see what the club's like in terms of like where you're at, and I think it's a good way to test it type of thing. And then again, you make it a friend, you know, he's like, next time we're down this way, mate, you're more than welcome, just come and pop in, boys, you're absolutely good.
Yeah, he's good. I used to see Gareth a lot, but I don't hardly see him now. But going back to like the belt thing, that's what I like about, that's what I forgot to say, that's what I like about being like underpaid and like I've served so long, is that I can go to, like when I go somewhere, like bar check mat in Brazil, but like if you're a blue belt, you're a blue belt. You know, like if I was a brown belt, I go to a gym, I'm a brown belt. You know what I mean? I can keep up, whether I'm in America, Brazil, well, I wouldn't say Brazil because I wouldn't been as a brown belt, but I know that I can hold my own in any gym. You know what I mean? You always get a kid that'll just come and you're like, who's that? You know what I mean? But no, I think every gym got to.
I think that's where the problem stems from, is the fact that there's been, as jiu-jitsu is getting more popular, there's an element of watering down, should we say, in terms of what the quality is. I've spoken to many guys underneath PED who said, obviously, the original gym in Bristol was like, you weren't your belt, basically. You weren't given that for no fucking reason.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the difference being now is some elements of jiu-jitsu has become more business-orientated, more commercialized, and so there's an element of the world that we live in that people want instant gratification, right? Yeah. And they kind of say, oh, how can I keep this member paying me? So what can I do? Maybe I give him a stripe. Maybe I give him a belt.
Especially if they're making money.
Especially me. And I think the problem being is it's a massive facade that if you do a good enough job, right, and you create a good enough community that people want, like I wouldn't give a fuck if I'm not graded for the next fucking 10 years. I love the club I fucking go to. Yeah, I love the people who are in there. That's absolutely it. That to me should be what you should strive for, I think, rather than I can keep my students happy by just promoting them more, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I think once you get to that level where you can keep turning up, keep doing more, and you feel comfortable with it, and I think it should be an onus of responsibilities. If you were to grade one of your students, you don't want them to go to another club and be like, oh, who's your blue belt under, or who's your purple belt under, and be like, oh, G7 a Gav type thing, and it'll be like, well, hold on, like, you seem like absolute shit. Like, what the fuck is he? Is he just promoting you for the sake of it, type thing? It comes to like having that ownership of like taking responsibility of what you're promoting or who you're promoting and why, type thing. Yeah. But it seems to be lost where it's like more like, how can I keep the student here nowadays?
I try and keep as a white belt. I give stripes out as a white belt because I think it's good as a white belt. You know, to see progression. Blue belt as well, but like I'm try and keep like PED's ritual, and like when the purple belt was like, no, no more stripes. There's no more stripes. Stripes are gone, like, and then you're in it. Then if you're in it, you're in it for the long run. Then but it's such a, like you said, now there's jiu-jitsu everywhere. There's there's so much jiu-jitsu. It's like with the competitions and the gyms, it's everywhere. You can, you know what I mean, and it's different. Like back in the day, if it was a black belt, it was like, black belt, is a brown belt, like, but now, so I'm happy to have served the time I have.
Yeah, definitely.
The time goes anyway, doesn't it?
So with the stint in Brazil, and obviously basically doing full-time training 3 times a day, basically out there, getting your ass kicked, and obviously doing well. When you came back, did you compete quite, I know you got your purple belt pretty quickly after that, did you get and compete and get to try out like how that sort of like fight camp, if you want to look at it, actually panned out in the end for yourself?
I come back, and I was training. I still didn't have G7 then. We weren't long after that. I started up, but like I come back, and it was like I come back to my gym in Chalky, and like even the guys were saying like Wag and rest of them like you just pass in. You just pass in. Like my passing had gone better. It was just like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. When to me, I didn't think I was doing anything different, and everyone's like that's changed.
A quick word about one of our sponsors, Grappler Soap. The team wanted to find, the best possible defense against skin infections, which normally we get from each other or off the mass. This, in turn, led Dan and the team into researching more about soaps and essential oils, which turns out has been used for thousands of years, actually, as a natural defense against infection during the plague. Slightly twisted story here, but grave robbers in England knew of the power of essential oils and smothered themselves in it before exhuming and stealing corpses. Useless fact of the day for you there. But Dan and the team had tried several soaps before, but none of them just simply wowed them. So he started to make his own. Months more research, trial and error led to finally this golden nugget, Grappler Soap, which you'll be pleased to know the recipe is CPR registered and approved by pharmacists. The use of a specific method to lock in the amazing natural smell, no cheap fragrances used here, which means the soap and use smell great and stand the best chance of staying healthy. Although the soap was developed for grapplers alike, it is now widely being used by non-grapplers, and Dan is always delighted to hear from customers about how it's cleared up dry and itchy skin, or relieved eczema, or just simply made you feel awesome. The smell alone has been a massive hit with men and women alike. So enough waffle for now. Go and get yourself some now at www.mrbassets.com, or go check out their Instagram page for some very funny memes at Grapplers Soap. Thank you, guys.
But then at the same time, man, you kind of like just fall back into what your surroundings are, you know. So it was good. Like now it would be like epic to go back now and then pick a like a bigger knowledge now, and it's like boom, 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 boom. There.
Be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how they perceive it as well. I think from their perspective. Like see that the Welsh guy came over for 3 months. He's come back 10 years later.
Because they nicknamed him in Brazil. Like I'm known as George in Brazil. Yeah, George. And I was like, I remember one of the black belts in Gordo's. Like I was walking out, and when we're lining up shaking hands, he'd be like, George. He'd be like, what's your name? I'd be like, Gavin. He's like, George. And I was like, no, Gavin. And he's like, George. And I was like, yeah, my name's George. So like, they called me George. And then I was like, well, that's not a bad nickname, because as you know, you can have some bad nicknames, right? And I'm like, I can deal with George. And then on my last day, I was going home, the black belt said to me, and he got a school in Florida now, which I try and get to, but I never get to. And he's like, do you know why I call you George? And I was like, no. And he's like, you look like George. And he said the guy's name, and everyone in the gym burst out laughing. So it was a black belt from that gym who'd moved to America called George. So I thought, well, it must look like him. So,
that's a good compliment.
Yeah, I was happy with that. I was happy with that.
You get some horrific names.
And then when I got back, Pedro's like, anyone do this to you? And I was like, no. And he's like, that's good. That's good.
Oh, God. So it's interesting, because I think a lot of people nowadays with jiu-jitsu probably would think more so to go to B Team or go to New Wave or
California.
That sort of way to go and get, like, let's say 3 months worth of jiu-jitsu experience.
Atos.
Yeah,
that is the way now. That is the way now. And
do you think if you went and had the choice now, other than, like, say, going back to Brazil for sort of personal reasons, do you just think if you had the choice to go and train somewhere 3 months, do you think it would be in the States rather than going back to Brazil? Or?
Yeah, I'd go with Tellez.
Yeah,
I'd go with Tellez just because I know Emily from Peds said, like, you know, like Tellez he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. Like, my mate who's actually in my division, he's like just won the worlds now.
Nice.
Yamaso, Marco Telegrossa, like he's in Sacramento, and he's like, come train with me. So I'd definitely go to California before I'd go to Brazil now. But next year the plan is I'll be in California anyway, and I'll be in Brazil, Brasileiro. So I'll have to do them. They won't be like, oh, I'll be there for months and stuff. It will be like fly out, rest, train a couple of places, compete, go, fly home.
It's interesting to see, like I said, how, like, I don't know, people's perceptions on where they think would be good for them to go for like a month at a time. I had one guy, shout out to Ashley Wag, who's up north type thing. He went over to Heath Pedigo, and went over with the Daisy Fresh lot,
boys,
and just stayed up there and literally lived. I don't know how rough it was out there. I appreciate things are changing. I got to catch up on the episodes, but he said he just lived out there and obviously just did the dream for a little bit type of thing. And he said, again, just a different fucking world.
They're cool guys. They are cool guys. I've met them. I've trained with, was it Hillbilly Armour?
Jacob Couch.
Couch. I actually rolled with Jacob Couch. He's like he was great to roll with, but then as soon as you start turning it, no, like you try and be respectful, but then you want to turn up a bit, but every time I was turning up, he's like, blah, blah, blah. Like, this guy is he's on a different level. But yeah, Heath, good chats with Heath. Yeah, they're cool guys.
Nah, definitely.
So, I'd love to go train with them lot.
Yeah, again, it's just so many different places. Like, again, obviously you got is it Art of Jiu Jitsu? Is that the right name?
Mendez Brothers. Yeah.
Mendez Brothers. Yeah. Sorry,
AOJ,
I always forget. So you get AOJ and stuff like that. It's just so many different clubs now. And I think one of the things which I can't seem to get my head around in the UK at the moment, other than Drake, if I'm honest, right? There doesn't seem to be like big clubs like this is our style, this is what we do type thing. It all seems really dispersed type thing. You can possibly categorize a few different things. You see like I don't know, Castle and Gracie up north type thing, Manchester, Liverpool, that type of area type stuff. They're kind of like a unit, but again, it's not like Atos, it's not like the B team, it's not like it's just like all separated out fucking everywhere.
Yeah, Castle and Gracie in London used to be like quite thing. There's like ZR team.
Yeah.
Alan Prazar, he's is it Prazar? But like I know Alan, like they're like a good solid team. They drag a good team. But yeah, apart from that,
just seems a bit odd. You'd think by now like they kind of like put together and go like, right, rather than us trying like we're the best club in this area, why don't we try and like put everything together? So I know you got Northern Jiu Jitsu Alliance, which has Nottingham. Jack Grant, I think, has got one of his, and another club up north type thing. But again, they're like trying to like work together, if that makes sense, rather than being like, oh, we're going to be the best club in this type of school and that type of thing. But
Steph's are doing quite well. Wing Chow Cheng, he's in my division as well. He's doing well with the club there. They've got like, it's nice as well, nice club. You see posts on Facebook.
Nice.
It's nice to see him doing well and going so big.
Yeah.
Same as Luke and Clayton, you know, like. It just seemed to be going like boom, like it's cool. It's one downside of being in the valleys. It's like, but it's we're close knit as well. We're you know it's.
Well, we're hopefully going to see Wayne and Lou next week.
Yeah. I have done a master card.
Hopefully popping up there next week.
Wayne comes in now and again. Like Lou's obviously busy because he's a pro fighter. Don't see Lou much. I know Lou. But. I see Wayne pops in now and again. He might have the odd boy from the mat, like, but they're more towards the MMA and so.
No, it's interesting. Right, okay. In terms of then we've talked a lot about your belt. Sorry, I didn't obviously again. I couldn't find much. We talked all about Brazil. Let's talk about obviously competition history. Obviously, you've competed pretty regularly through it. Have you always stayed in the same weight category? Have you moved around at all? Or?
No, it's been the lightweight since I started.
Nice.
Yeah, since I started. Yeah, I'm still a lightweight. I did go at purple belt. I went into middleweight, just because of the fact, like I was always on the edge, and I was like, do you know what? Like I'm flying here. I just want to eat what I want. Like you know, but then every now and again I'd have a wake up call. I'd have like I'd have that strong middleweight and like tall middleweight, and he'd just like smash me, and I'd be like, you're not in your division, like just.
Interesting.
Get off your ass, lose the weight.
Yeah.
You know, and get back down to lightweight. But competing so much, then it's mad. The older I've got, the lighter I'm going, and it's just shredding off. Like I'd probably back then it'd be like in my 30s, this would be drinking, you know, and having drinks, but like now because I think the lifestyle have changed a lot. Because that automatically comes with it. You know, they say jiu-jitsu's a lifestyle. You don't realise it, but like. You know, like I don't drink a lot of alcohol and stuff now. I will if I can, but I just can't. You know, and that keeps the weight down.
So that's an interesting point, which again I try and get across to people is that it's not this one meal plan. It's not just you having this competition, right? If you keep on regularly ballooning up in weight for a reason, your lifestyle choices, whatever they could be, right? Be that drink, be that takeaways, be that drugs, whatever it could fucking be, right? Is what's causing that to happen each and every time. Is what I say. Those actions lead to that outcome, right? You can't deny it, right? There's no other fucking excuse, or I want to motivated, or I want this. Like those actions give you that outcome, And it's like I don't know. It's not getting. It's like it's not. It's like not grabbing the underhook because you're doing a knee cut type thing. You're like, oh, this is dangerous type thing. Like you know what's going to fucking happen. That leads to the outcome, and so. You have to accept that the choices within that lifestyle, something needs to change or something needs to go. Otherwise, you're going to keep on repeating, especially 100%. If you just go back to it every fucking time. Yeah. And so it's good to hear you say about lifestyle, sort of helping that more so than anything else.
It does. Like you don't even notice it, but the more you start, like especially when you're competing and you're putting money into it and stuff, you just start thinking, I'm not doing that. It's like oh, I can go out and have a drink. But it's like, oh, I got to get up in the morning. I go train in there. You know what I mean?
You try to explain this to your friends who don't train, and it's like, hangover can be sometimes just bad enough as it is, and then trying to go on that open mat on like a Saturday or Sunday morning, hanging out your arsehole.
I know. And I miss so much. I'm like, people, come here. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, but people don't bother now. They just they accept it. No, that's what's good. Is they don't. Where before they'd be like, oh, you're just training all the time. You just, you know, have a break, man.
As soon as you go to the gym.
Now it's like, that's what it is now. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it definitely affects you.
Do you find it hard when you started saying no to those sort of like lifestyle things?
Yeah, especially because, you know, like I said, I was 31 starting jiu-jitsu. You know, I partied through my 20s a lot. You know, around here, everyone's gets on it kind of thing. But like from 30, my life just went boom. It just totally flipped the switch. It's like something at the break kind of thing. And then now it's like, although it's still, you know, I was still partying and stuff. Like, you know, regularly I'd still be turning up to the gym on a Monday. But then jiu-jitsu was Monday, Wednesday, maybe a Friday.
Yeah.
So you know, if you didn't go then, you weren't going. So like, you know, some Mondays I'd be like hanging out to my arse in training, but it was like there's only training, you know. But I got to the point where like, I can't keep doing this. It's like, that's got to go. You know, so you break off on a Sunday. You won't go out on a Sunday. You know, it's just a Saturday, and then eventually it's like, oh, Friday. You know, there's open mats on Saturday, and yeah, just changes for the better.
Again, it's good to hear that jiu-jitsu really sort of made a big impact on that.
Yeah, big. You know, they say it all the time. That jiu-jitsu changed my life, but it does. Yeah. It does 100%. And if you stick with it, it will change it. Nice. Like, you know, there's no doubt.
Did you lose many friends and stuff like that and things when you made those changes and things, or not really?
No, not really. I just don't get to hang around with them anymore. You know what I mean, kind of thing. But they still, it's quite good round here. Everyone's like, you know, they're quite supportive in a way, like. Yeah. But you know, they're only doing the same thing anyway. They'll only be doing the same thing. Yeah. So you know what they're doing, you know where they are. It's
probably one of the biggest struggles for a lot of people is that I kind of explained to them about the whole alcohol situation, right? If you followed the Islamic faith, for example, and said to someone, I'm not drinking, people wouldn't question it. Oh, sorry, they'd even feel bad for asking type thing. Yeah. Yeah, let's say you want to make a better decision within your life, right? And you say, I'm not drinking tonight. Oh, go and just have one. Or you're being boring. Or don't do this. Or it's just like there'll just be constant badgering. And it's not understood in the same light in the slightest bit. And it's just really, it's hard to stand out from the crowd, should we say, and be the odd one out and kind of say, do you know what, guys, I can still... It's the interesting thing about the social occasion, right? You go out to socialise with people. People aren't there to watch you eat and drink food, should we say. I'm not saying, hey, Gav, should we go for food? I'm just staring at you eat food, right? That's not the point. We're here to interact with each other and actually socialise with each other. But as soon as you say, do you know what, I'm not going to have that takeaway tonight, or I'm not going to have that drink, or you're being boring. Yeah. It's like, but why? Like, you're not here to watch me eat and drink. Like, you're here to talk to fucking me type of thing. And like, it makes things... I appreciate some people need drink to like help with their social anxiety, whatever type thing. And that's something you've got to work on as a person type thing. But we live in this culture where if you don't do it, you're boring. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm just looking after my fucking self. Like, what more do you want me to fucking say? Like,
yeah. It just makes the hangovers are terrible. I have terrible hangovers. God. Like, really, like, it's like, it is like poison to me. And it's like it will, if I go out for, even if I have over four pints, like, I'm not doing nothing the next day. Like, I'm just lying down, I'm eating crap. I'm not going nowhere. I'm like, nah.
You're saying it's fine. It's just that one story I told you earlier about, what was it, which, I don't know which one it was, was it the Dublin or Ireland?
It's been a few.
I got told a story of you apparently getting absolutely hammered at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then turn up to Matt absolutely.
Yeah, we've had a spell of it. We've done a couple of tournaments, actually. I know you shouldn't, and it'd be like a lot of athletes looking at it like, oh, but like you go away as well, you know, and so like you start, you go to the place, I'll have one, you know, I'll have two before, you know, you're singing it, and it's like, we gotta go to bed, there's a comp in the morning, and then you wake up in the morning, you're like, what have I done? You gotta get the job done quick.
Step on the scale is completely dehydrated in the next category below.
Walking for the gi check, like...
He's probably stinking of fucking Leeds Africa just to make sure it's all normal. Yeah. Oh, God. Sorry, viewers and listeners not knowing. I got told by one of the other guys who'd done a podcast that Gavin turned up hungover the next day for a comp and decided to win the comp still, but the first match he needed to get it done quickly, so knee barred the guy in 35 seconds or so just to get it out of the way with.
I've had it a couple of times. They've had to get it out done quick, and Yeah, and like walk up and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is not professional. But yeah, when you're still winning, it's like, it was like kind of.
So if anyone listening, if you come against Gavin in the future competitions, if he's doing it with hangovers,
I might be sober, I might not.
If he is sober, watch out, it's going to be a different story. But, God.
My mouth shut and I'm not breathing over you.
I've had it before at a competition, and the opponent like stinking of cigarettes basically. And I'm just like, I got what was it? I got fucking taken down, and I was like, right, okay, I eventually swept, got on top, and absolutely fine. But I can stink cigarettes, and in my mind, I was like, do I say something like, how was that last cigarette then, buddy? But yeah, it's all fun and games. So when did we make the switch? Because for viewers and listeners, it was literally, we were talking about one half the gym is all of Gav's fucking medals, the other half is the gym they're trying to catch up with. Lots of golds and a few silvers in there. I don't see any default bronzes, luckily.
Oh yeah, there's loads there. Don't get it, trust me, there's loads there. So they go like gold, silver, bronze. We try to keep it like a podium, but it was funny because they were on a piece of wood, like a solid piece of wood. But I come in over Christmas is gone. I opened the door and I was like, I thought a load of youngsters had trashed the place, but there's like medals everywhere, but it's literally fallen off. So I was like,
too many medals.
After myself, I was like, yeah, it's not a bad thing to do. It fell off because you got put too many on the wall.
Mate,
but so the IBJJF ones, they're a good few of them, and all mine as well. There's a few of the boys, but like I said, about 60-70% of mine. So
it's nice.
Yeah, they've had a few spells, but I've been chucking them up there since 2015, I think, my first one IBJJF.
Honestly, there's a few. I might even, do you know what, just for the sake of the camera, just so everyone can pretty well see it, if I can try and get this back in the same spot will be a godsend, but to put this into perspective, yeah. All of those, absolutely insane. Right, moment of truth, can I get it back in the same spot? It looks roughly good, that'll do.
It's not too bad.
When did you make this? When did you start doing IBJJF stuff? Because I imagine, like, if I'm honest, like, I get the feeling. The general consensus is you do your local comp, you feel good. You might then go do the English Open or British or something like that, and you're like, do you know what? Maybe I'm ready for IBJJF. Now that's what logically makes it in my head type of thing. Some people are completely different. Like, I'm only doing IBJJF or
I am a bit like that now, but I just, like I said, I'm so stuck in my ways and stuck to the thing now. I just don't like, especially now, if like, if you're young, if you're young and you want to get somebody, just go and smash all loads of comps. But like for me now to do like local comps, like I know everyone in the bracket. Like it's like I'm known, I can just go and train in a gym kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with the IBJJF, there's like, the IE is international, and they are like from all walks, You still get the same kind of guys who's always going to be there, but then you just have like random people. So then I think I can test my jiu-jitsu well if I'm on that stage.
Yeah. Like
my jiu-jitsu's all right, but.
So when did you make the? When was the first one then? What was the decision then? Was it like, actually I want to go and do this? And what belt was that at?
Yeah, purple. Purple was my first IBJJF comp. I used to like look at. Like Jamie Hughes, like I was saying earlier on, Jamie Hughes was a bit of an inspiration then. But like he was, well, he still is. He doesn't compete much now, but he was like killing it on the scene, and like he was the first one I seen with like IBJJF medals. And I remember thinking like, if I was like, 10 years younger, started, like not envious because I like Jamie, but like you think I wish I was, but then. I thought I'd never grab an IBJJF medal. That's like, I know. But
he's one of them all,
it's mad to look back on, like, the thoughts you have in your own head kind of thing. And then my dad then, who's like if it weren't for my dad, they wouldn't be on the wall. Like he got a good company, and he supports like his local rugby team down with him.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's good with stuff
Welsh
like that.
guy, what's supporting the local rugby?
Yeah, all rugby nuts, like the family. But he's like, I'll pay for your tournament. So I was like, I'll pay for that. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, what? Because as you know, they're ridiculously overpriced. But like when that come for me, and like for my dad as well, like I just got to speak highly of him. That gave me the push to go out there and do that. That took a lot of money off You know, like I obviously still have to pay for flights or hotels. It still costs loads of money, all your money, but it takes a big weight off it.
Yeah, massively.
As you can imagine, looking at that, my old man's probably paid about 10 grand in IBJJF costs, but yeah, and he's always been supportive of it. And you know, like I said, like for the first year at Purple Belt, I was losing a lot. You know, the matches were,
that must have been hard mentally.
Yeah, like, mentally, yeah. But it's not, I wasn't losing, I wasn't going out to someone like, armbarring me, triangling me, choking me out, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it wasn't bad losses. It was like, someone would turn me over in the last like 3 seconds and I'd be like, you know, like just stupid errors and I'm making myself, and I was like beating myself up over there. And like fair play to my dad, like he could have just gone, you know, you suck at that, like I'm not paying for them no more, I'm wasting my money. But yeah, he's just like always stuck by me, and now it's just bang, bang, bang. So yeah.
Nice. How was the first competition then? Did you lose the first IBJJF one, or?
Yeah, I lost a lot. I lost for about the first year.
Yeah.
In the IBJJF, and I decided to travel. I had money saved. I actually had money saved. It's quite a cool story. Like I didn't have a car at the time, so I was saving my money. I always wanted an Audi TT. Like the newer shape one, not the small one. Yeah. The newer shape one. Like I still like them now. And I was saving, and I was like always out to reach out to it. I had like, say I had like 5-6 grand. It was always like 8-9 grand. You know, I just couldn't quite reach it. And I was like, I'll get it. And then I just flipped the switch, and I was like, do you know what? Like I'm just gonna spend it all on jiu-jitsu. I'm just gonna fly around, and I spent like every penny of it on like going away. Yeah. But it was probably the best money that I could have spent. Experience and the life experiences. Like a car's a car. Yeah. Like, but no, you know, you get wrapped up and stuff like that. No, but it's like it was a car, and I was like so glad that I'd done that.
100%. This is the thing I try and say to the guys who are like going over to Poland this weekend, or going out to Vegas for, I don't know, Worlds or something else, or California, or whatever it could be. And I'm like, regardless of the result, get your head out your ass for a second and just look around at where the fuck you are, right? Yeah. And like, you take that moment for, let's say, a 20-year-old, right, and you put it to someone in the UK, Wales, Scotland, or something like that, you are pretty much 0.1% out of the whole fucking population who are there right now. Yeah. Like, because no one else, let's be honest, they're going to be out at the pub on a Friday night or Saturday night, or just doing something else with that. Like, there'll be a few people maybe in your circumstance, but it's so limited. Like, go and enjoy it. Go and see, go and travel, go and speak to fucking whoever, go and enjoy the food. Never take it back. If they offered me the car or that, I'd be like, no, that all day, every single, you know. But you can never get it back. And I always look at that now and I just think, that's mental. We count them the other day. It was like 120, something like that. Like, and I was like, that's just nuts to think. Like, you never get one. Have you ever worn them all at once?
Yeah, but like,
I'd love to see
like,
that. Like,
you can literally go and like, especially being in the Masters, you might not have a lot of fights in your bracket, so you could come away with wins and losses, and come away with 4 on the day. You know.
Does that mean you were there for Mark with his no-gi? Was that the same competition, the no-gi?
Yes, something happened to me. Like,
his opponent pulled out. Like, he was there at the event. Like, was all game for it because he fucked up the first match basically in the gi, went to do no gi, and basically had won in the division. The guy pulled out, and then he basically got default gold, and he was just like, "What the fuck is this point?"
I seen his first match. I can't remember who he fought. Who did he fight?
I can't remember. I just know it was in the gi. Didn't go to plan really.
Yeah, I seen it. And you could see like he was beating himself up. I was like, don't worry about it. Getting no gi back, and like. And then I remember something happening, and I think I watched the podcast, and when he was talking about it, and I was like, oh, that's what happened. Because I was a bit like, because you can ask him, so I win my gi division, there's no one in my no gi division, so I got the default gold, right? So I'm literally I'm hanging out to my ass from the night before, and I'm like, just wait, grab his medal, because of points, and racking up points, and like, take a medal for the points, go to the airport, go home, like, and like, I jump on the scales and I'm like a kilo over. And I'm like, I've got to run, like a glass mark, like I've got to like stinking hangover, I've got to run to the sports centre just to make weight, not even to fight. And I'm like looking at Mark, I'm like, I got to lose this weight and I'm not even fighting, like, you know.
Just to get the points.
So I didn't really know what was what was going on with it. And what's funny is the other day, when I got back, I showed my mother, I was like, oh, I still look at the medal, so I showed her, and she went, it's 2022 on, yeah? And I was like, what? I looked like that.
Ashley Bendel said exactly the same thing with hers.
But like, I will say to the IBJJF, my dad, because he sorts all his stuff out from his house, which is down in Cardiff. And he's like, oh, there's a letter I for you. And I was like, oh, what's that? Like, I've never been registered at address. And it was 2 medals from Dublin and with this year's date on. So I've actually got an extra 2 up there for free. So I was like, yeah, I'll chuck them in the gym.
Ashley, if you're listening to this, then you can get your medal sorted. I'll go and register.
Yeah, they'll send it to you, Ash.
Send it. Oh, God, that's hilarious.
Who's it, Ashley Bendel?
Ashley Bendel, yeah, she got exactly the same. She got given the wrong year on the medal, and she's like, I don't know what to fucking do, type thing.
But I got to say, like, I work for the IBJJF sometimes, and like the medals they have left over, it's like incredible, like, you know.
That's mental. Absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah.
Oh, so done the IBJJF stuff. Let's talk about obviously Polaris coming up. That's obviously more.
Yeah.
Is it sub only for your match or is it not?
No, just a gi match. A gi match.
Gi match. Okay.
Yeah, 10-minute gi match.
And we got points involved with that, I'm guessing.
I have checked. I have tried to look at it, but I obviously think go over a day. There's a thing you can look at, but I think it's no points for first 2.5 minutes. I think they do like 4 periods.
Yeah, to try and get
noise. But I also, someone also said, and you know, even if it's a bit of a stalemate, which I shouldn't imagine it is over 10 minutes, but like them first 2.5 minutes still count.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just go from it from the off, I think.
Well, obviously, you've got a pretty sound opponent in terms of Andy Roberts. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I done like I obviously known his name for years, like especially going to Hereford and things like that. That's all you see is like Andy Roberts patches, and you know never knew who he was, and then it's like just 2 totally different ends of the spectrum. Like you tap him into YouTube and he's all over the place. It's like, knock him off. I've never seen him. Like he's fought everyone.
Well, he's Gavin's dilemma. He's trying to research stuff on you.
Good luck, Alex, because there's nothing out there. But a terrible gi match on the floor. But but
looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I got offered it back in May. Dama from Tatami messaged me, do you fancy a fight on Polaris? And I was like, whoa, but at the same time, man, it was like, they're going to be matching like loads of people, and Polaris hadn't happened to do it in June. So I was like, nothing's going to be, I was like, who are they going to match me with? Like, I was thinking, like that's going to be interesting, because like even I could think of good matches to have with people. Like certain people, like my weight, my age, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, who are they going to think? And I didn't hear nothing.
So, what weight are you exactly, sorry? So
lightweight.
So what's that in kilos?
76.
Oh, okay,
in a gi. So 74 kilos I have to be walking around. But this fight is, like, he's a middleweight. I'm a lightweight, but I think the deal was that it's 76 kilos in your pants on the day.
Oh, cool. So you literally walk away, basically.
So, like, I think he has to cut down. I don't really know how big he is in size and stuff. But
Andy, if you need help, hit me up,
sort the boy out.
Hit me up if you are watching this.
Yeah, I think actually the other day he was advertising for sponsors, so you can help him out. Good. But
that's cool, man. He's looking forward to obviously watching that. Have you got, again, you're on the card with the GP, which is just looking fucking insane.
It's funny to look back. I say, like, looking back on the medals, like, I remember going to the first ever Polaris in Cardiff, St David's Hall, the first one they ever done. It was like, I can't remember who was on it. It was like AJ, I think it was AJ Agazam, the Florida boy. That is AJ, isn't it? The Florida boy. I can't think just off my head now. But they were good guys, like, you know. And I was like, this is awesome, like, in Wales. I was like, I'm not sure if it was a blue or a purple belt, and then like 4 day to Polaris 25, which is, and it was like the biggest event that they've held so far.
And you were on there.
And it's down the road. It's in the valleys too, so it's like sick. And then obviously they chucked Aljamain Sterling back in the mix as well.
I'll be honest, like nothing against Nathaniel Wood in the slightest bit. Like I just think it's a massive mismatch, if I'm honest. Just
I don't really know much about Nathaniel Wood grappling wise, but like
I just like if you've got a guy who basically was champion, right, and he was known as the backpack, ideally for his jiu-jitsu and wrestling type thing.
Yeah.
And you got someone who's, I think he's slightly heavier than Nathaniel Wood, I think. But anyway.
Is he black belt, Nathaniel Wood, or I don't know, like, yeah.
I just don't, but for everything I've seen of him, a lot of it stand up all the time, right? I'm like, if you go against guys...
Because he's in the UFC, like.
Yeah, he's in the UFC, and so it's like, he's got stand up all the time, and then you've got Aljo, who is in the UFC, but is known for his fucking grappling all the fucking time, and then he's coming out and doing a grappling show. Like, I might be just being swayed by all the biased media of like how they're like taglining him and that type of stuff, but in my head I'm like, the guy don't have to punch or kick anymore, and we've seen him fucking wrap up so many fucking people already. Like, good luck to Nathaniel. I'm not trying to discredit him. He's really good, but you've got a big challenge ahead of you.
To be honest, I don't know. I know he's in the UFC, and I only know Nathaniel Wood from watching him fight with Josh Reed from Tulare. I think it was for the world title. I think Nathaniel Wood was. I'm not sure if they were fighting for it or he was the champion, and Josh Reed come out and like he was like battering like Nathaniel Wood, like tap that into YouTube. It's a hell of a fight. Like I know Joe, I don't know him really well. I know him to say like to and stuff, and I was like obviously rooting for him, like, and he was like, I was like, why? He's like, he's gonna kill him now, like, you know. And then all of a sudden, Nathaniel Wood just like flipped around, banged him, shook him, and it was like a total turn of events. And I was like, I was getting for Josh. I was like, But so that's all I know of Nathaniel Wood, really. But then he got signed for the UFC, so I was like, you got to be good to be in the UFC, whatever.
Exactly. You can't have like a poor standard of stuff. So it'd be, like I said, it'd be interesting. The GP fucking circuit, I just can't get my head around. Shame obviously about Owen Flanagan having to pull out, unfortunately. Obviously, where they got a replacement for that, so he's had a knee surgery.
Yeah, that could have come in, didn't he, and just wiped everyone out in the contenders.
Yeah, we got him as well. He's obviously a completely... It'll be interesting to see how he does, because he's literally got nothing to lose. Do you know what I mean? And mentally, he's in the best position ever.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if he just come and wiped everyone out now? Take them out.
That would be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Just do the Conor McGregor speech afterwards.
Chant says what he wants.
Be like, Matt Benyon, 50 G's, baby, or 30 G's, baby.
Sit there and whiskey.
That'd be wicked.
Yeah, but there's the guy who I like to watch is I can't pronounce his second name. Roberto Jimenez.
Jimenez, yeah. That's the
I
one.
watched him. I was working for the IBJJF in London. He was sitting on the table with me, and they're like the top guys in the division. Like, and he's just in there, just wiping people out, and he's just sitting back down, smiling, laughing. I was like, this guy's like super cool. He was retired there, and I was like, who is this guy? He's funny. He's like singing his head off. It was brilliant.
It's funny. It's funny how casual some of those guys look, right? In the sense that I think I'm pretty sure the first time I ever watched him, he just had a t-shirt on. I think it was, and like just looked like surf shorts and knee pads, and that was it. And he was I think he was doing trials in Brazil at the time for ADCC. Yeah. And I'm like, who's this guy? He just looks like he just walked off the fucking street.
He's singing, he had his headphones on, and I don't know what he was listening to, but his singing is terrible. His singing is terrible. But like he was just like full, like blaring away, and me and my mate are just sitting there like laughing, like thinking like this guy's like bonkers. You know what I mean? And he's going in and he's just wiping people out then. So. Yeah, cool guy.
He had some good scraps on the last flow one, I think, with Jacob Couch and stuff like that. I think those two went against each other. Yeah, and then Couch got the win just, and it was like...
He beat him, did he?
Yeah, this was kind of Couch's year where he came out with it. I think it was a few years back and stuff, but again, like I said, he's obviously in the GP. You've obviously got... Is Kynan in it? Yeah, I always forget the names. I think you've got Kynan Duarte, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think Kynan's in it.
You've obviously got Owen Liberty.
Yeah, he looks a beast, he does.
He does. I forget all the rest of the names. It's one of the Brazil kids that are coming down.
Bodini?
Giancarlo Bodini. Yep, he's down there as well. Yeah. It's a big fucking name there. I want to say one of the Brazilian guys, and I can't remember what his name is.
Apparently, I mean, I haven't looked at it to be fair, but it's a Brazilian lightweight kid that's like looking good to take. I don't know who that is.
I want to say it's the guy who does the whole fucking foot stomp thing. It's not Baby Shark, I know that.
I know you're about
I think it's him, he's in it. Again, everyone's going to be like slating me in the comments, like, you can't remember fucking this guy's name, he's a legend. And I'm like, leave me alone.
I'm even worse. I'm like,
oh God. But, so yeah, mate, it'll be good. Is this your first time on Polaris, or is it?
First time on Polaris, yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun. It's funny to like the walkouts and stuff, but I'm used to like walking out in front of people and like fighting. You know, like I said, like IBJJF, I've been on my own for years with a rucksack before G7. Just rucksack on my back, flying around on my own, shooting around. Do you know what I mean? Like in sports centres in the middle of nowhere. But,
it reminds me a little bit of the story we got told about Rory from Pedro's.
Rory, yeah.
Black belt. And he
used to live in Brazil, didn't he? Is that the one?
I don't know.
Blonde, tall?
No, darker, as far as I'm aware. Like he's got the bank in Bristol.
Oh, Rory. Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
Rory.
Yeah, Rory. Yeah.
About him turning up to a Naga competition, like in his trades gear type thing, literally covered in like plaster. Like gets undressed, subs everyone, gets the Naga belt,
he's a beast,
puts it all back on, and then just fucks back off. Like,
he is.
We got to get him on at some point.
When it comes to you got to get him on. When it comes to Ped's black belt, he's one of the best. He's like a beast.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Like both him
Such
and
a nice guy as well.
Rory and Matrix, both those two, like
Matrix,
first grade cropper basically of Pedro's type of thing. So we want to try and get them both on at some point.
Yeah, Matrix is cool. He's down in Torquay, is he?
No, he's kind of Bridgewater way, that sort of way.
Yeah, I always think he's further down than what he is.
Because he's got an affiliation, or he's got a club, Elite Jiu Jitsu Somerset, down in Bridgewater, and then he's got Kaizen as well, which I'm not quite sure on the location, but it's like Shepton Mallet, that type of area, I think. Sorry if I'm fucking butchering this, Nathan. But yeah, around there. So yeah, we need to get both those on, to be fair, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any funny IBJJF stories? Obviously, we've got the Hangover one. Have you got any other stuff? Any other ones? Or?
Oh, loads. It's brilliant. I look back now, it's like, because we end up with so many people from so many different places. Like,
do you find that as you're not say backpacking, but just going independently by yourself type thing, were there other people doing the same thing as well, and you end up sort of like, I don't know, like
yeah, no, I try not to. Like back when I first started doing it, it was like, oh, he's from the UK, and you'd have all the UK guys together. You know what I mean? And then you'd have like all the UK guys, all like Spanish guys, and I was like, I've never been like that. I've always been like, I'm like an everywhere kind of boy. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'd just go off and talk. Like I'd say I like to, I have photos and stuff, but then I'd shoot off. You know, I didn't want to be in like with any kind of one click. But I'm trying to think now. What was it?
I was just intrigued to see if like you had other people in your same sort of boat who were just traveling a lot. And
that's what I was thinking, because back then it was just me and my rucksack, but then it's turned now from taking a team.
Really?
You know what I mean? Being the coach now, and you're taking a team now, and so you're doing IBJJF, but it's different. You got like your kids with you. There's people that look at in that. It's like totally different end of the spectrum. Like you got to like look after people now. Like not look after people, but you got to everyone's got range flights, and it's like I remember Greg Creel saying to me like when I started the gym, he's like, "Oh, good luck." And I was like I looked at him and I was like, you didn't sound like good luck. And he was like, you're gonna have plenty of baggage now. And I was like, and I know exactly what he means now. But this year, where a lot of guys like, this is when I'm lucky. I get my IBJJF stuff paid for. Where a lot of guys they got extra 200 odd quid to chuck on a bill. Some can't do it. A lot can't do it. Families and stuff. So this year I've been back to the backpack days.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like reverse for me. I'm like my backpack, doing things cheap, loking at flights, buses, like living like the Jiu Jitsu thing just to get cheaper for myself. Nice, so that's cool. So I'm like going back in reverse now. I'm back.
That's cool.
Back being me, yeah.
Well, I have to ask then, what was the decision behind G7 then? When did you kind of make that point of saying, do you know what, I'm going to set up my own club and stuff? Because let's be honest, we said earlier, there's a lot of schools in Bristol at the moment. Obviously, are just obviously opened up recently in there type of thing. There's a lot of Pedro black belts who are setting up their own. We talked Nad, obviously cool, Bank, you got Rich and everything, that type of thing. So what made the decision to do yourself type stuff?
It was actually my mate I was in school with. Come back from Brazil. And like not in a selfish way, but I was like, right, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter kind of thing. And I come back from Brazil and my mate's like, Gav, will you start teaching in the local boys club, which we always play football for when I was younger. This area, just literally just up the road there. And I was like, nah, like, I'm not a teacher, I'm a fighter, I'm too busy, being a bit, not pig-headed, but being a bit like, no, I'm too busy kind of thing. And I said to Wagon, and I was like, oh, like Jamie wants to start teaching once a week up in the boys' club. So he's like, oh, go for it. He said, go for it. He said, Jiu Jitsu will get better. You know what I mean? Like, you start teaching. And I was like, so I started, and then literally started with a couple of guys on the mat. They're still with me now. But like it was cool. And then he's like, oh, you got to start teaching kids. And I was like, slow down now. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you got me teaching, and you're asking me to teach kids. And you know what I mean? I was like, at the time, I was like, Jim, I swear all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't teach kids. Like, it's hard work. And like, again, being a bit like, I'm not doing it, a bit selfish of me in a sense. Like, not knowing that what it could do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then, so I was like, it went from there, like twice a week. I remember Wagon saying, "No, you're not doing twice a week, once a week." Because I obviously still, I'm like, like for Wagon as a sense, it was always pushed me, always helped me to do stuff. Like, but in a way, he's like kind of losing the purple belt then as well. You know, like if I go, so I'm like, he's like, no, you can do one a week. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So I was doing it. It was building. The photos were going, and I went training up. I was still training in Cherokee, and then he turns around and says, you're ready for twice a week now. And I was like, oh, cheers. Like, and then,
nice.
Yeah, I was like doing it twice a week, growing numbers, photos, you know what I mean? Like, it's a different area to where he is. It's only a couple of miles up the road, but you got people who's not going to come from down there, people who can't be asked to go up there. So I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I was like,
one final sponsor shout out to the team at Inner Chimp. Inner Chimp is a brand name that really speaks to grapplers and fighters, one we can believe and relate to on a personal level. Inner Chimp is simply catchy, right? And with small tweaks can be your general gym wear and casual wear and rash guards like this for men, women and children. Inner Chimp is ethically produced and has turned down cheaper production overseas to ensure this. Understanding we only have one Earth, right, which we need to look after. This is at the forefront of their production decisions, and we want you, our listeners and viewers, to have a sense of accomplishment in knowing that you are doing your part when buying their products. Inner Chimp tees are 100% organic cotton. Their packaging, 80% recycled cardboard, and all of their products are designed to last. Their production and manufacturing is in the UK, trying and aiming to be as eco-friendly as possible, leaving close to zero global footprint. But to put it simply, Inner Chimp has a massive passion for the sport, attention to detail, and our planet in mind, and always at the forefront of your own Inner Chimp. Go check out their website, www.inner-chimp.co.uk, or go check out their Instagram at inner_chimp. Thank you for your time.
This could work, this could. And then I was like, it was probably one of the most, like when you say you got to take risks and stuff like that, like to actually text Wagon and ask him, could I open my own club? So then I'm technically leaving.
Yeah, how did that?
It's not so much of, like, you know, it's the fact that like he's losing a purple belt as well, because he's obviously getting coloured belts as well. And, you know, I was always there, always in Cherokee. I loved it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd help him out with the training, help him out with the teaching, help him out with the classes, be a dummy. Do you know what I mean? I just loved being in that environment. Like, and send that message. Like, I wrote it out, and I'm like in my bedroom, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like
checking spelling errors. Can I say something differently? All this type of stuff.
Fuck, and I just went bang, send. Fuck it. And I was like, it's done now.
How long did you get a phone call? Did you get a reply?
No, I had a message back.
How quick?
Go for it.
Really?
Yeah, that was it. And it was such
awesome.
a relief. He's like, go for it. He's like, anything you need, I'll help you. Blah blah blah. And like obviously, he's one of the boys, but I've always like looked at him kind of like a father figure. Like always helped me out and supported me tenfold of it.
That's nice to have that mentor.
And you know, to just go and like obviously I do the same with anyone from there now because of that. If someone said to me, oh Gavin, I want to open a gym, like blah blah blah, as long as it's not too close, I understand I couldn't open one in Cherokee. But it works well because he's up the top. So you couldn't really come to the Ronda now because it's such a small place, and like, I'm opening a Jiu Jitsu gym, because you got Wagon up that end, me down this end, and everyone in between. everyone over the years, they've all trained with us.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it'd be really difficult. I think even if it was Brazilian coming now, it'd be difficult to But
I bet you probably have the same. Have you had guys go from one club to the other type of thing? Or?
Oh yeah. We've had like we've had one. I won't mention names. Like we had a couple of guys like they train in here, and then like they're in wagons, and I'm like. You know, they haven't even said, but a lot of just training, like literally left and training there.
Yeah.
And just joined, and I'm like you haven't, it's like rude, you know, you haven't even said you haven't even explained the wagon, I've been training with Gav, but even if the times are different, or the classes are different, or it's just, there's no explanation, and I'm like, who does that? You know what I mean? I know with the same team, and we still look at it like the same team.
Yep.
It's good to be like competitive against each other. Like when we go, like we still be competitive against each other. But
is he Pedro Bester affiliate or not?
Yeah, Pedro Bester black belt. So I look at him as, and a lot of guys that train here. They only train here. Jiu Jitsu to them is here in this building. That's it. Doesn't go no bigger. But like a lot of them still like. Understand that I've trained with them boys longer than I've owned this gym. Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, the respect in our sense, and like, you know, I'm like loyal to Wagon, to Pedro, like only because they've helped me so much. So I mean, everything I wanted to do, they haven't gone, no, you're not doing that.
I think if anyone listening, I think if you do move from one gym to the other, I can guarantee you, obviously, Gav will just literally message Wagon and be like, what's this guy doing? Something they don't talk.
yeah. You know what I'm talking about, yo. Don't care.
You know you are, but if the shoe fits.
Yeah, you know you are. But you get a lot of guys like skipping around, you know, but they like phases. You know, 1 minute they want to do jiu-jitsu, next minute they want to do MMA, next minute, and it's never gonna.
I've had that with a few clients before where they wanted to be a heavyweight boxer, right? And I'm like, right, okay, you come from a family of boxers, that type of thing, right? And I'm like, right, fine, no problem. Then all of a sudden it's like, actually, I want to do MMA. I was like, all right, cool, no problem, we can do that type of thing. Well, actually, I just want to do Muay Thai because he trains at a Muay Thai club. And I'm like, right, okay. Or now I want to be actually super heavyweight, not heavyweight. And I'm like, right, okay. Oh, no, I want to be back to heavyweight. And it's just like, make your fucking mind up.
Make your mind up.
And like, it sounds stupid, but like, rather than it being like the flavor of the month, sometimes I found that this individual was getting pressured by his father, who was a heavyweight boxer previously, like at a professional level. And it was like, don't live like a shitter version of your dad's life, right? Because you'll never be as good as him, because that's his life, right? You'll only have a shitter version of it. You need to live your own life, and where you want to go. So if you want to turn around and say, do you know what, I'm going to do Muay Thai, don't let your dad influence you and say, oh no, it's not a real sport, it should be boxing or something like this type thing, But you get it all the time, do you know what I mean? Like you get some people come in, leave, they think they can hack it again, and they go again, and all that type of stuff.
You can't stop and start with it. That's what I've noticed. Like people are always like in the beginning, like you just jiu-jitsu, but I could never stop it because I think it's such an hard thing to get back into.
I just can't like not get obsessed with it. Like that's the stupidest thing. Like my wife said, like this is all you ever look at and focus on. Like, I'm really not interested in the fucking news. I'd rather watch, I don't know, fucking Gordon Ryan versus someone like. Which I haven't seen before for a reason. Like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I've never seen this before. And just sat there. And like, don't get me wrong, to the average person, like, you're just looking at two people on the floor, like, trying to cuddle each other. And I'm like, there's details of this I'm trying to pick up on type thing. So don't worry about it. But
But for the same feel, like, it's living now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's money. It's like, it's good if you can make money from something that you love doing.
Definitely. So did you open up before COVID or after COVID or?
We was open before. Like I said, we've been in here 5, coming up to 6 years now.
Oh, so you probably had a good couple of years of building things up and everything going well.
And the guys are great, you know. Like, you know, we have loads of guys in and out, but I have a solid base, and I think I think with jiu-jitsu is about growing your base. Like although you got having loads of students is great, you know, and money coming in, but you need that base growing. And as long as you've got that growing steadily, like, you know... like
you don't have to worry about the churn. Yeah,
your base might be 6. Now your base is 8. Now your base is 10. Yeah. You know, it might take 10 years for that, but then that base is always going to... You know what I mean? And they turn into coaches and...
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like you don't have to worry about the churn of like 2 in, 2 out versus 3 in, or like 3 out and 2 in.
My best mates who I grew up with, you know what I mean? Or back in the day, you know, you never think like, you'd all be doing jiu-jitsu. They coach you now.
Oh, wicked.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you got like Dafty's like one of my best mates, and Ron, the other one, he's, you know, he just teaches the kids, but he's there solid with them, and so it's brilliant. It's
nice,
brilliant.
man. That's good.
Fortunate to have that.
I'm going to have to ask them, obviously with it being the podcast, so I sometimes get it out with the change of weight categories, but because you haven't really changed weight categories, there's nothing much. So what do you do with your sort of diet then? Do you obviously have much structure to it? What do you do? Obviously, if you're competing quite a lot, there must be a little bit of focus on it for recovery purposes and stuff like that.
I train a lot, so like, and I'm quite not like lean, skinny, you know. I always like kept weight off, like, you know. I wake up in the morning and just like straight to the toilet, you know. Like I've always been like, I'm lucky in that sense. But the older I've gone now, I've realised that what you're putting in your body will help with recovery and stuff. Like just because I feel them aches and pains, you know, more than, you know, someone in their 20s, like. Yeah. But I've always like ate what I wanted and never thought too much about it. But sometimes then I have to cut weight, like I said, like you have to get it back into that lightweight bracket. Then I'll curb my eating, eat healthy. But now I try and eat healthy a lot because I realise it's recovering me and I can go longer. I can gas.
What's healthy in your opinion? Like I said, no right or wrong answer. It's just, again, some people's view are completely different.
Like, I'm not into like I don't know, like vegan and all stuff like that, but I eat meat, I eat fish, I eat vegetables, I eat fruit, I eat oats, you know, and I just have a big mix up of them, like, you know, water is like a massive thing. Like, you know, people don't realise, like, but it's like.
It's mental. Like, honestly, average person in a class, let's say, it doesn't even have to be comp class or anything like that, you're going to lose a kilo easily, right? Unless it's fucking freezing fucking cold and it's like no heat at all, like especially in the summertime type thing. It's like you're dropping over a kilo easily type of thing for everyone type of stuff. So, no, that's interesting. So, have you always kind of done these sort of food groups quite often throughout most of your life, would you say, prior to the
pretty much.
Jiu-Jitsu?
Don't get me wrong, on the weekends, and when you, especially if you're going on benders, like you're just eating junk food, McDonald's, like, you know, stuff like that. That I've cut out. But I think that's more, I've cut that out, like living the lifestyle. It's just money saving.
It's interesting.
You know, money saving. Like, like I'm tight like that. I'll hold back on, like everyone knows me, like, I don't spend money on it. But I spend money when I'm away and stuff. So like that gives me that leeway. Yeah,
whatever you want to choose your money to be spent on.
Yeah,
you,
but
type of thing.
Yeah, you know, but like I'd only say since like especially since black belt, I've totally I go to tournaments and I have, you know, you're in a bullpen and you're like, what do you do for, you know, what do you do for work? And they're like, I do jiu-jitsu. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? And like, you know, everyone here just got like schools and, you know what I mean? So it's like, right, this is how it is. You know what I mean? Like, and, you know, if you want to have that, and you want to have that lifestyle,
make your sacrifices.
You have to make the sacrifices,
I think I heard a phrase the other day which was, if you want to be good at something, you also got to be prepared to be shit at something. Yeah. And that's it. And I think this person said that I wanted to be a good father, but a good businessman, but it means obviously I had to sacrifice the time with my wife and my partner to do that type of thing. Yeah. And it was like, the idea being I have to be good at something, but I also got to be prepared to be shit at something. Or again, it could have been not as much contact with my friends. Like, and it's just that priority.
Or you could be not that good at that, and you know,
exactly.
Everything. Like, it's like, what do you want to?
You got to pick and choose.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, so much time. No, that's interesting. So some people do sort of fall into that category, should I say, of like falling into good habits, which may come from parents and stuff like that, in terms of food groups and things like this, in terms of like meat, fish, vegetables, like water and that type of jazz type thing, fruit and veg type thing, and never really have to worry about it. And I think sometimes that we don't realise how much of an impact like our upbringing has on terms of like our food choices, in terms of what is normal, what is not type of thing. Yeah. And so, yeah, obviously again, I imagine you've had some people, oh, Gav, you never seem to put on fucking weight or have to worry about this type of stuff. But I think it's just the case that you've just done the same sort of thing for quite some time, and luckily it's just falling into the right bracket of what it needs to be.
I do keep weight off easy, but like I said, if I drink alcohol, you know, like every weekend, even if there's a couple of cans or whatever, like my frame will I'll have a gut, you know, and I'm like, it's just not worth drinking. It's not paying
we'll know
to
pretty
drink
quickly
that.
when Gav gets into the absolute all of a sudden. How's the beers going, mate? That'd be hilarious. But nah.
But that's the funny stories from the IBJJF. The amount of big guys I fought is like stupid.
Yeah.
Like guys that is like 140 kilos. Like.
Oh, you've done a few absolutes, have you then? Yeah.
All the absolutes. Since I've been black belt, I've cut them out because I try and I think like you come up like fourth degree black belt. It's like 140 kilos. Like it's like because like as a sport generally it's like it's a sportsmanship, but you still get people who will 100% hurt you.
Yeah.
And I said, God, like chill out a bit now. You're in a big pool now. So I've stopped doing it. But purple belt, I've literally been like walking on mats, like looking opposite the mat and just bursting out laughing. Like, here we go. I always remember blue belts in the Bristol Open, and I don't know if he still trains, but his name is Julio Almeida, and he was mad. And I said, and the guy comes up to me and he's like doing the brackets, and he's like, "Do you want the good news or the bad news?" I was like, "Good news." He's like, "You got to bite in the next round." I was like, tidy. He's like, I said, "What's the bad news?" And he went, "You're fighting him over there." I looked over, he's like the biggest guy in the building. I was like, "How heavy are you?" And he's like, 140 kilos. I was like, "Well, if I take you back, I'll choke you out, right?" I like laughed at him, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe you will." But he just literally sat on me for 5 minutes.
Well, the coach is there. Bridge has to stand up, you'll be fine.
But like you said earlier, with the ultra heavyweight and the open bracket, like you get some big dudes.
We've said this a few times. Like honestly, like the ultra bracket, you just don't know what the fuck's going to turn up. And like there's one guy I always talk about, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, is that he's about 120 kilograms lean, fucking big guy, 6'2", and went into the ultra bracket one time, came up against an ex-rugby league player, and he said he felt like a child.
Yeah.
Right. Same sort of height, same sort of build, but just different world of athleticism all of a sudden. And it's just like, you just don't know. And I'm like, having that as a variable, if you're going into an absolute bracket, fine. That's you know what you're signing up for, right? If you're in the ultra bracket, not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like if you're built, you're happy to deal with it, and you've come to, not say got over those demons type thing. But if you're happy to accept that you do not know what the fuck's going to turn up in front of you and you're just going to do your best, fine. However, I think we said this off camera, if it's your first ever competition and you're kind of close to that super heavy bracket, I would recommend getting down pretty quickly.
Get down quick.
Get it down.
Because that's what I noticed with the brackets as well. Like I'm a lightweight, and you see some guys in my division, and they're like 6.5 foot tall. I'm like, how are you possibly 76 kilos? But then and then featherweight, then I could possibly cut the featherweight, and you think, I'd be stronger, but I think I'd be weak. I think I'd be weak,
It all depends on the weigh-in structure, which is obviously a hot topic with ADCC announcing that news at the moment, that type of thing. And I said, obviously, I did a little post on this, and I think the reality behind it is that people will take advantage of it. People are still doing stupid weight cuts away and walk on IBJJF. Well, I'm sure you've heard of plenty of stories of people being like, I've been in the sauna for like 6 kilograms to make weight and all this fucking jazz.
Don't do
that. Just no fucking point. But now all of a sudden they have it. It's not morning, day before weighing like an MMA fight, but it's the evening of, so you've still got time to rehydrate. Now, I'll be honest, like some of the athletes that we had who are going over there at the moment, who we had plans to manipulate their weight this week of the fight, so they can come in, weigh in absolutely fine, not have any detriment to them. We've not done a complete Uno reverso on it. We've just said, right, if you can get over to the evening or your flight times, we're going to take full advantage of this, right? Because if we just chip away at a little bit of sweat at you, and then rehydrate you with plenty of time, you'll be fine, right? Because we're talking like 2-3 kilograms, not that much at all, right? And plenty of time to rehydrate. 2-3 kilograms of like weigh in, walk on can play an effect on you, right? Which is the difference here. But where you're weighing in between 8 and 10, they're going to have to redo the weigh-ins obviously the next morning, which is going to be between 8 and 10 the following morning. So you've then potentially got 12 hours to rehydrate and refuel properly, right? 2-3 kg, easily done, right? So we've done a complete different change of plan for these people just to get this sorted and everything. Probably helped. I probably should have bought myself a sauna over there. I can rent out to everyone at the same time, make some money, or get some shares in a sauna over there type of thing. But yeah, like those are the type of things which should change all the time. But it's the same thing what you mentioned with your weight, should we say. Like, if the weigh-in structure was different, right? So I think Polaris should go day before.
No, same day.
Is it same day?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if the weigh-in structure was different and you could have day before weigh-in, I'd say to you, look, as long as you're aware of what to do and how to do it properly, rehydrate, refuel properly, crack the fuck on. Yeah, use it to that advantage, cut down. But again, it's all depending on the circumstance of it. Like if you're 15 kg overweight, yeah, you can't bank on just doing just that alone type thing. You're gonna have to do some extra work. If you're marginally like overweight the category, then fine. Then look, I'd try and say like keep as much food as you possible type of thing. But again, yeah, it's all about context. Within IBJJF stuff, you can do bits on the fight week without it making too much of an impact on your weight. Again, between 2 and 4 kg, should we say, on the fight week without you like under fueling yourself, right, and dehydrating yourself type of thing. But you don't want to be heavily reliant on it all the time because it's not the best type of fueling, if that makes sense. So it's all a bit complex. Sorry, mate, complete tangent there. Me just waffling on.
No, it's
right, some of the questions obviously we ask all of our guests. So once you've got one of your many goals, what's the post-comp food ritual? What are you going for? What do you look for?
After the comp?
Yeah, when you got the goal around your neck.
Hard Rock Cafe, if you're about.
Hard Rock Cafe,
yeah. Especially like if sometimes they're hard to get in or they're full or whatever. But if you're in Lisbon or it's like a bit of a treat then. It's like, I've got to do the Hard Rock.
Hard Rock. And what's the order?
The ribs. I always the ribs.
Ribs.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all because I don't get to have them. There's not many Hard Rocks. So there's an Hard Rock.
There's one.
Is there one in London?
I think there's probably one in London. It's got to be.
Yeah, but or your typical, like, it's in Dublin, it's like TGI's. It's not too far from the competition, it's like TGI's.
TGI's are Hard Rock. All right, that's a unique one.
Sesame chicken. Is it sesame chicken?
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
But any junk food, they're going straight to it.
Straight for it.
Yeah.
I love that. What's an unpopular jiu-jitsu opinion that you have?
An unpopular jiu-jitsu opinion?
So the ones we've had is like pulling guard is okay, wrestling doesn't work, single legs don't work, that was another one.
Pulling guard is okay.
Yeah.
Like we back and that's just my easy route out there. But I can answer to that because back, like, we but we got taught the mentality: you pull guard, you don't pull guard, you take down.
That's why I got top of my MMA club.
Score the points. You know what I mean? Like, why are you pulling guard?
Yeah.
And that was it for years. And then I ended up, Wagon's going to laugh at this now, but I ended up rolling my wagon, ripped my knee, which ended up over the time worse, but at the time I was like, what am I going to do? Because my legs hurting. And I was like, what do I do? And he's like, pull guard. And I was like, what? You tell me. Yeah, he's like, and I was like, I can't. And he's like, you're going to have to, but that got me good at pulling guard because like I can get to like pulling guard like I had to because my leg was literally some tournaments. I go for some weeks my leg's fine, and then some weeks I couldn't even walk on it. Do you know what I mean? Like you can ask anyone who knows me, I'd be moaning about it, whinging about it, never go and get it done. For 4 years I had it, and when I actually went and seen about it, I'd ripped my meniscus. And I'd had it for years like that, and I didn't even know. But like, your adrenaline's going, you don't feel it. But then some tournaments, I'd be in a tournament like, my legs hanging, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be able to, I'd be holding off, and I'd be like, my legs popped. So, pulling guard, 100%, because I can answer that. And no, my guard pulling is good, because, that is part of my game as well, pulling guard into the sweep, into the attacks and stuff, but I'll give too much away, like, but but I got that end of it good for me. When I'm normally like, in push, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't push off my leg.
It's interesting. It's kind of a bit of a relief for me because I've got I thought it was an MCL tear, but basically the tendons in the back of my hamstring that they slightly wrap around the front of the knee, very very tight, and so I couldn't straighten my leg. I think it was last Monday after an open mat from 3 little pops, literally nothing of it, and I was like carrying on the rest of it. I was like, what the fuck's this all about? And I was like, right, okay. So it's kind of forced me, being obviously a bigger guy, like everyone's like, you don't pull guard against bigger guys type thing, you can get smushed. And so obviously being the bigger guy, that's the mentality that comes into it.
Yeah.
I was like, right, well, I'm going to have to play fucking guard now, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not any expert leg locker in the slightest bit, but I'm like, right, I'm now put in a position where I'm like, okay, cool, let's just play around with this. And it's forced me to then put myself in the position more, rather than be like, go to my aim game, take them down, pass, side control, all that type of stuff, type of thing. So it's quite useful for that. But
with open weights as well, and like that would be my downfall. When I was so good, like I come out like, and it's a good way of getting to the floor quick. It's like, instead of like standing around messing around grips, like pulling guard, bang, you're on the floor, let's go. Like it starts then, you know. So it's like you can cut that rubbish out and all the nerves are standing up. But then, like, I get, like you said, bigger guys, like, I'd still have that mentality. I'd come out and I'd be like, bah! And I'd be like, I should have done that. Like, you're in trouble now when you're just, like, stuck under the bottom. I'm like, why you do that? So I had to, like, switch our mentality and try and go, you know, like, to the back and stuff like that. But,
yeah, I went for a phase, and I haven't done it for a little while, so I haven't competed for a bit, but just putting all the big guys into single leg X, but like pulling into it like Gordon does, and you see their face, like, what the fuck's going on here?
What do it like that?
Right, there we go. But yeah, that's also a fun one. What is something that, tell us something about yourself that your jiu-jitsu students don't know about you?
Some of my jiu-jitsu students don't know about me. That's difficult, that is.
Take your time.
Yeah, because I throw me out of, because something they don't know about me. Wow. Yeah, because we are quite close as well. So, you know, what they don't know about me. Boom, 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 boom. Probably what we was on about earlier on, that at blue belt I stopped competing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't compete. That's probably, you know, thinking there's probably loads, but off the top of my head, because they look at me, I hope they look at me, well, some of them look at me like I'm just like, you know, kind of like just do it, just bang, 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 no switch off at all, like, but they probably don't actually know that at blue belt and at white belt I didn't win a fight.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool.
so yeah, but because a lot of, like I said, a lot of guys have been with me for years, so they'll know all this. But like the new guys, like I said, blue belt, I didn't even compete. I was too scared to compete. Not scared to compete. I just
didn't want to have
didn't want to go into work again on a Monday morning. Like, oh, how do you get off? And you know, they all, you know, it's like the boys in the banter, and they'd be like, oh, you lost again. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, blah blah blah. And it's,
the thing is, like, I say the alpha mentality, but that fucking banter, like, there's only so much you can fucking take before after a while it starts to push you away from it. Do you know what I mean? You're just like, maybe they are right, because you start believing them.
You start believing them, and it's like, do you know what? Yeah, they're right. I'm in my 30s, blah blah blah. And then, but then once you break past that, like now, no one even says like, oh, everyone's I
think the funny thing about those guys is that none of them have ever been in a probably scrap.
Yeah, they've never had a fight before.
And they're like, oh yeah, it's that whole scenario, and like, again, even my own friends, they're like joking, like, oh, what happened with this competition? What happened there? Type thing, or what? And the thing is, they'll joke about it and they're absolutely fine. But again, I look at them like, none of you, like, I could give them like a 2-stripe white belt and they'll get fucking smashed. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'd have no fucking chance, type thing. But, it's good for them to like.
Yeah, outsiders just they'll never get it either. No. You know, unless you're doing jiu-jitsu, like they won't get it.
Yeah, you should have seen their faces.
You just win or you lose.
When we went to Lake District for a little holiday and stuff, and I popped into a couple of gyms up there type thing, and they're just looking like, you're going to go off for an hour just to go and cuddle some people and get hot and sweaty? I'm like, yep. And they're like, why? I'm like, you just don't get it. Like, until you do it, you just will never understand. Like, I don't care if they're strangers or not, if I know them or not, type thing. It's just gonna be like, wicked, go in, have a blast, have a bit of fun, and just see what the fuck happens. And I get to switch off for an hour and a half type thing. I have to think about anything else other than what the fuck's in front of me. So.
Yeah, and that's the advice I give to Dean the other day when he said, what do you think about competing? And I said, like, if you're not bothered about losing, go and do it. Yeah. Because like I said to him, I would rather, if I'd seen someone who had 10 jiu-jitsu matches and won them all, or I've seen someone who've had 100 jiu-jitsu matches and lost them all, I'd probably be more thinking of the guy who've had 100 matches because like he's like, super experienced. You know what I mean? Or like, exactly. So
I've said this a few times. Tom Schauder said this to me before, and he said that you winning gold is good, right, which is fantastic, but you're not necessarily going to learn anything.
Yeah.
Right. you just learn that you beat everyone on that day and that's it, and that your techniques are good, right? But in actual value for you going forward, you want to lose because then to some degree you then go, right, my defense is fucking shit out of triangles at that late stage, or my back control is absolutely horrific. I was winning the match and then lost the back and then went from there. And it really highlights those holes in your game really much more quicker, rather than just trying to be perfect all the time. So makes a big difference there. Cool, right. What would you like? Do you like our staple question first, or do you want the mystery question first? What would you prefer?
Let's go mystery question.
Mystery question, right. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? I don't know if the ribs have given it away, but...
No, it wouldn't be ribs. Probably if I could eat one meal for the rest of my life. You know, this is going to sound so boring, but like I eat this like every day. It's like avocado, boiled eggs on toast.
You would have for the rest of your life.
Yeah. If I had to choose what I was going to eat, because like that's one thing that I can eat every day, and that I eat every day.
Yeah.
Like I put it into my diet every day, and I always.
You love it.
I don't know if it's when I wait to eat it and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
But I always love it. Always love it. Yeah.
Love that, man. That's good. Cool. So, final staple question that we ask everyone, obviously, all together with this is what. And I think we might have even covered this already, oddly enough. What failure do you cherish the most?
Yeah, I can answer this easy. That's easy, Alice. When I was purple belt, and I'd had the car thing, spend the money, I'd spent a hell of a lot of money on Jiu Jitsu and a lot of losses. Like I said, my old man helped out with the thing. But I was in Munich. I always remember it, and I got beaten. And I remember going to the changing rooms, and I was like you were shit at this, like this. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like you're spending all this money, like and you can't. You know what I mean? You can't. Like I said, a lot of it would be like 2-0, like they sweep you at the end. You know what I mean? Or advantage point, and it's like so like.
Infuriating.
And I was like, what are you doing? I was literally standing in the mirror looking at myself, and I was like, what, you wasted like all this, like you could just be, you could have your car, blah blah blah, and then Trevor Birmingham, yeah, he's in the Alex Souza, anybody, I think he's got his own gym. He come in the changing room, and he's like, you're like that, and he probably doesn't know this, but I was like, oh yeah. He's like, do you want to go for a cup of coffee, like? And I was like, yeah. And I said, I'm just had enough of it now. I said, you know what I mean? I said, just get on my tits. I said, we're flying about. And he said, go out there. He said, just fucking relax. He said, do you know what I mean? He said, go out there and have fun. He said, just enjoy it. And then I went out, and it was one of them turning points where I went out for the no-gi, and I went bam, 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 foot locked everyone, gold. And I couldn't believe it. Like that will stick with me for the rest of my life. I was like, do you know what? Was it Munich? Yeah, it was Munich. No, it was Berlin. I'm trying to think. It was Germany. It was Germany. It was Germany. Munich. I think I was with Dafty, and I was on my own there. So I'm thinking Berlin. Berlin. I went on my own. Yeah, it must have been Berlin. And it was just total turnaround. Do you know what I mean? I was like back on it, and I started catch a train with him. But it was funny because I drank a cup of coffee with him, and then it put me overweight. So I went back, and he's like, "You joking?" He's like, "You better go and run fast." And I was like, "You just took me for coffee, and you put me overweight now." I like laughing, and I think that I'm to lose that weight, like chill me out a bit, took my mind off it. I went out, and he was like I was like jumping down, grabbing a footlock. He didn't even seem on, and I was like bang, and he was like ah, and I'm like. What? Next one, same again, papa. And I was like, third one, bum, and I was like, do you know what? Like that's like in my head, I was like,
leg lock,
wow. I can't even do leg locks, I could never finish them, and I was like, that's mad, chill. And I was like buzzing with myself, it just made up for everything that I'd gone through. I went back, and I look at. People have, they have inspirations, and they might look at Gordon Ryan for that example. Yeah. Gordon Ryan, Andre Galvao, they're the greats, I in my jiu-jitsu, the people I hope inspire me, like, are real, like, obviously I know Terry and people like that to speak to, but it's like Trevor Birmingham's one. Like, I used to look at him, and I like Trevor Birmingham, he might not, he might be in his 50s now, like, but he's like just hardcore, you know, he's out there competing, just like mad, like any weight division, and it's just like inspiring, like it used to inspire me back in the day. I was thinking, like, that's what you want to be, that mentality. Again, Yamaso, BJJ, he's like a world champion now, he's like in the top 3 of my division, but I know him to talk to, and it's just talking, they're just inspiring. I mean, and you know them, they're just real guys, like, you know what I mean?
It's the people who aren't necessarily, it's the people who aren't in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this off there a little bit about how unfortunately in the IBJJF world they're just not getting as much social media presence. I think they're upping it a little bit, which is good, but it's not to the case of like, again, one of the shows that we work with is Grapple Fest, for example. On the night, they're chucking out live reels of like highlights and stuff like this. I'm sure you probably see Mark's one, obviously from the last Grapple Fest, like Mark Hibbard. From there. But that's like happening on the day of the event type thing. Of like all these type of things. Unfortunately, these guys just aren't keeping up with it. You're getting like TV camera screens like that getting knocked off wobbly, or an angle type thing like this, and it's just that you're not getting as many eyes on.
There's so many guys out there who are just like
who are the
real,
and
they're savages, you know, and like you're in there, and it's like even Fergal, like Fergal's in my division now, like a black belt, you know, Fergal from Ireland. Like I always say, the first ever time I met him was in a tele seminar, and he's like to look at, he's like a really like complacent guy, like chilled out guy, really, you know, and like he just like murdered everyone in the room, like, you know, and I'm like, who's this guy? Like, who is that guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just people like that about the people don't know, you know what I mean? Like, do know, but you know, there's so many real people that has inspired me on my jiu-jitsu that, you know, like people don't. No, they do know him, obviously, they're well known, but not, you think...
But they're not, like I said, front of the camera.
Like, but like I'm not staring at like Gordon Ray and thinking, I want to be like him, or you know, like...
I think it's a big shout out to the workhorses, I think, of the jiu-jitsu scene who are turning up to all the competitions. Yeah,
grinding out, doing any weight.
Doing whatever weights.
Not caring what division, who's in the division, not looking at divisions thinking, there's only 2 in here, or there's only 3 in there, just going in. And just gritting it out.
That's the one thing I can never get my head around, is that some people love to sit in masters, right, for whatever reason or another, and like there's more, let's say 2 people in masters, or they got like, I don't know, a 10-man deep bracket at adult, let's say. I appreciate it's completely different levels of IBJJF, but I'm like, just go and do the adult. Like I don't want to have a match with someone that like it's one and podium type thing. I want to have a fucking like scrap with a few people, and then like work my way through the trenches and such, and then get to that podium and go like, I've earned this spot. Do you know what I mean? Not just...
But I started as masters, so like I started jiu-jitsu as a master, and like when I was like I said, the only comps we had then was like Hereford back in the day. You'd have like the likes of Jack Shaw, who was in Chris Edwards, Chris Tetley, like it's always been the same, all of us being the same division. They're a lot younger, you know, and like I think I was like 33, 34, and I just remember like thinking like they just got gas for days, you know what I mean, like days and days, like you notice that kind of change. It's like, but then again, you've been in masters, it doesn't make no difference, because they like again, you could be up against like 3rd, 4th degrees who've been black belts since their 20s, you know, it could be like 10 times world champion. It's like, it's such a vast pool.
Yeah, so I think there's an argument of like
I can have a 10-minute fight with an adult black belt, easy. Yeah. But I can't keep having them fights. Like I can't, like I couldn't, you know, if I got 6 or 7 fights or 8 fights in a tournament, you'll see it. You'll see it then, which is understandable.
Our whole argument of like levels to the game. There's always more levels, right? And I think some people who've had the opportunity to fight with some like the Supreme guys, should we say like that, who said that, like, I don't know, locally they're like the best black belt in the area, had the chance to roll with like Craig Jones, for example, and just have felt like a child all of a sudden. And it's just like, again, like, it's nothing to discredit them. It's not to say that their jiu-jitsu is a fraud type thing. Yeah. But these are the guys at the top of the level, and that's all they that they're doing it 3 times a day for. I think Ricky obviously went into this in terms of that compounding effect of like him training 3 times a day over a year is potentially going to be the equivalent of like potentially obviously 3 years, and then from there
how old is he? You did say
he's in his masters against. I want to say
he fought Dafty. Dafty's old.
I can't remember. I'll flip
Master
back.
3, but I think that before him Master 2.
Yeah.
I think it was Master 2. But
so he must be in his
yeah, because you think, oh yeah, I train 3 times a day, but like at this age now, it's hard to to train that, like, especially for guys who've got jobs and stuff like that. So now, training more doesn't necessarily do your body any good.
No.
As in, like, yeah, do your jiu-jitsu good, but your body, so...
But I think he's in that competition, like, circle.
Yeah,
so
he's paid for it, and
whereas if it's a hobbyist side of things, it's then kind of saying
he's got a good...
that's cool.
He's got a good setup there, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely.
All the army boys have, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they have to work their asses off for it as well, which is cool. Any questions for me, mate? Anything else at all? Anything you may... I always talk, obviously, to you guys about everything. Have you got anything for me at all? Or no worries if you don't?
No.
No?
No, nothing.
Any shout-outs to... well, you've got one sponsor, which I don't like, but it is what it is. Any shout-outs to sponsors and other people within the club that you want to go mention?
I've got a couple of sponsors. I shout out first things first. I always say this would be my dad at A1 Survey Limited. He's sponsored me from the start. He sponsored me even watching me lose, throwing money into it, and probably had a belief in me in some sense, but hard to see yourself and think, so like amazing what he does for me, amazing what he does for Rabina rugby team as well. So massive shout out to him in A1 Survey. Grappler Soap, obviously, they're the ones. Grappler Soap, yeah, Vic's, I don't know what you would think with him, but he's been alright with me, and he's sounded, he's
Dan's sound as well.
Chuck me out some stuff, but a good one that I just picked up is I don't know how you pronounce it, is albino and preto.
Yeah.
They've just been hooked up with them guys.
Nice.
So thank you very much for that, Ash down in with them. All the Sawyer roll out. Cool, super cool guys. Awesome to be on board with them. Charlie Mac Attack Day Wrecker, shout out to him, Charlie McDonald, for giving good words for me towards them as well. And it's just all falling in the right place. And Gareth Thomas and the Polaris lot, and the Tommy fight, obviously, for getting me on the Polaris. Super grateful.
Yeah, well, that's obviously happening.
And all my guys here, G7, and Michelle, my missus, who puts up with everything. Sorry, Michelle, but like she puts up with everything. So she should have gone at the top, really.
We all know.
But I was thinking of sponsors, and so Michelle and all the family.
Nice, mate. Well, obviously, Polaris is in 2 weeks' time now?
2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 weeks tomorrow. I won't be there in person. My producer will be there, so he'll be watching, obviously, down there and stuff. I think I prefer the comfort of my own home. And I've also got a friend who's got a UFC fight pass, who's got a free link for me, so I'm like, right, I'll watch it on there, we'll make it more easier. But looking forward to watching them out. I'm sure you're going to smash it and everything, but great to have you on, mate, and just thanks for your time,
awesome.
man.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
awesome
it.
Awesome to have you in. Thank you. Top man.
Sweet. Happy with that?
Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, mate. Anything that you want to cut out or stop or anything like that?